This page is the cover of SEGA Saturn magazine. It's packed with exciting games. The big focus is clearly on Sonic Jam, a Sezzle, Panzer Dragoon RPG, which we know internationally as Panzer Dragoon Saga, and Mobile Suit Z Gundam. It looks like they're teasing some major summer game announcements. Alongside these heavy hitters, we see mentions of King the Spirits 2, Sky Target, Command & Conquer, Grand Red, Falcom Classics, Nanero Dreams, Ochi Game Designer Tsupan, and Gone Sword. There's also some coverage for anime-based games like Mobile Battleship Nadesico and Real Sound, alongside titles like Momotaro Rail Travel Record and Kindaichi Case Files SS. The magazine highlights a Golden Week amusement park feature, suggesting a theme park focus for this issue. It's issue volume 15, dated May 9, 1997, and costs 390 yen. This issue looks like a must-have for Saturn fans, with a great mix of genres and upcoming titles covered. This page highlights Real Sound, Wins Regret for the SEGA Saturn, a very unique title described as a visualist game, and an interactive story played by sound. It's being advertised as coming out in the summer of '97, and is from Warp. The advert lists the staff involved in the game, including Kojiro Ino as director and planner, Yuji Sakamoto on script, and Keiichi Suzuki for music. The planning is credited to Osamu Watanabe, and the voice acting features a cast including Rei Kihara, Miyuki Kusano, and Yoko Fujiwara. Naoki Sato is listed as the programmer, and the developer and publisher is which is Warp Company Limited. The advert also mentions it will be released on 3 Cruladrums and cost 6,400 yen. It's quite interesting to see a game focusing purely on audio and interactivity being advertised so prominently. This page continues to highlight Real Sound, Wins Regret, emphasizing its unique nature as the world's first game with a completely dark screen. It reiterates that this listening game is a love story unfolding entirely through conversations, music, and sound effects. You play as the protagonist Hiroshi, making choices about how to react to the women in the story and deciding your next actions. The advert stresses that this allows you to create your own unique narrative, promising an unprecedented and wonderful drama born from your imagination, since you cannot see anything on screen. This page continues the theme of darkness, presenting a very close and detailed image of a mysterious, almost alien-like face emerging from the shadows. The Japanese text at the top reads, "The truth approaches from the darkness," which really emphasizes the game's concept of playing in complete darkness and relying solely on sound. The PlayStation and SEGA Saturn logos are displayed at the bottom, along with copyright information from Virgin Interactive, which suggests this is still related to Real Sound. Wins Regret, likely as part of its ongoing promotion in the magazine and highlighting its availability on both consoles. The image itself adds to the atmosphere of suspense and mystery inherent in a game where you cannot see the visuals, further reinforcing the idea that the truth of the story will be uncovered through listening in the dark. The Unsolved, a hyper-science adventure game by Asuka Akio, delves into a Roswell-esque mystery, linking a 1947 UFO incident and 1970s cattle mutilations to a modern crime. Players investigate the murder of a Los Angeles woman, where blood and body parts are missing, potentially uncovering extraterrestrial or psychological elements. Gameplay involves gathering interview data, interacting with characters like Tom Hopkins and Patricia Stone, and navigating a nuanced dialogue system. The game features a multi-ending story influenced by player choices, with dark themes suggested by questions like, is it a project of death? PlayStation and SEGA Saturn versions release May 2nd for 7,800 yen. A comic and novelization further expand the Unsolved universe. This page showcases Magical Drop for the SEGA Saturn, highlighting its Toratete Zokengo tagline, suggesting it's a special or enhanced version. The page features a vibrant group shot of various characters from the game. It introduces different gameplay modes like Taizen mode for versus play, Sugoroku mode, which looks like a board game style mode, Hitarasu mode, possibly an endless or marathon mode, and Ohanashi mode, which might be story or dialogue driven. Screenshots illustrate the gameplay, showing the bubble matching mechanics and what appears to be the Sugoroku mode board. The page also mentions a release date of June 1997 and a price of 5,800 yen. There's a small text box at the bottom right corner, hinting at a dialogue or story element within Magical Drop 3, mentioning something about full members and not being able to do things recklessly. The bottom of the page shows the Data East logo and address information, identifying them as the game's publisher. This page is presented as Hyper Priestess Sensei's Anyone Can Understand Magical Drop Lecture, guaranteeing it's an easy guide to get into Magical Drop 3. It takes the form of a manga tutorial, walking you through the core gameplay. The comic strip panels explain the basics. You drop colored bubbles from the top and clear them by matching groups of 3 or more of the same color. Strategically, you're encouraged to set up chain reactions combos, where clearing one set of bubbles triggers another, boosting your score. The tutorial also introduces special gems, emphasizing they are unique orbs that work like regular colored bubbles, but come with special abilities to enhance your gameplay strategy. Down at the bottom, there's an announcement for a Eurotape campaign plan, which is obviously a launch promotion celebrating the release of Magical Drop 3. This page is a perfect beginner-friendly introduction to the addictive puzzle action of Magical Drop 3. This page is all about the upcoming Langrisser IV for the Sega Saturn, and it's definitely building hype. It's screaming, "Series latest work, soon to be released!" So you know it's a big deal for fans. The page spotlights a character called Randius, giving us a cool illustration and some backstory. Apparently he was rescued by villagers as a kid and raised as the village chief's own son. They're emphasizing the gameplay as a strategic, board-type simulation, but with improved 2D battle scenes. It mentions a new judgment stat that affects turn order, which sounds interesting. The voice cast is stacked, with big names like Ryotaro Okiya and Yumi Tuluma bringing the characters to life. The release is set for July, and they're pushing special edition packages. If you snag the special package for 6,800 yen, you get a Langrisser IV pin badge set and a special fan book. Or there's a regular package for 5,800 yen. There's even a pre-order campaign where you can win a limited edition pin badge set if you pre-order and fill out the application form. Looks like they're going all out for this Langrisser release. This page is all about the romantic adventure game Daisuki for the Sega Saturn. It's clearly a dating sim, advertising itself as a chance to touch the gentleness hidden in the cool appearance of its characters. The game is set in a military academy called Union Academy, where you, the protagonist, will experience school life with a cast of girls. The page showcases several of these potential romantic interests, with character portraits and voice actress names, including mine, are Kabure Fusuki, voiced by Yumi Toma, Misodisu B. Kojutopu, voiced by Kaiko Toda, Gold H. Makinberu, voiced by Wakana Yamazaki, and others like Ai Ruri, Sugita Midori, and Ansheru Maruseyu. There's also info on a special edition coming out on June 27th for 6,800 yen. This special version includes a bonus Kree-drum and a Daisuki strategy guide, plus extra info about voice actors and an illustration book. Looks like a pretty standard special edition package for fans of this type of game. The Sega Saturn game, Go 2 Professional Taikyoku, offers an upgraded Go experience, emphasizing enhanced AI and processing speed. It caters to all skill levels, with selectable difficulty across 12 ranks, board size options, and features like hints and handicaps. Customizable graphics, including stone and board designs, background patterns, and music, enhance the playing environment. Mouse control and 2D, 3D display options are available. A separate advertisement promotes Beachside Leech, a summer-released mahjong game. It features a romance-driven story mode with good feeling parameters, a free battle mode, and a classroom mode for beginners. The game emphasizes an anime-style aesthetic and focuses on a lighthearted, romantic experience. This page is an advertisement for Yoyogi Animation Academy, emphasizing its appeal to aspiring creators. It boasts a 98.62% employment rate for graduates and highlights a computer aptitude diagnosis called Charisma Map to help individuals discover their artistic talents. The Academy offers various courses including animation, CG animation, game design, and video artistry. They are holding entrance exam briefings and offer free trial enrollment days. The ad promotes a free audition for finding newcomer idol voice actor talents, suggesting opportunities beyond animation alone. Contact details and website information are clearly displayed for prospective students. The next page showcases the game Nightruth, explanation of the paranormal for the Sega Saturn. It's touted as the series' greatest shock and the truth of just one. The description talks about 5 high school students caught up in paranormal events, describing it as a sealed occult secondary school incident. It seems they faced danger and are drawn into mysterious incidents where a strongest enemy awaits. The page includes several screenshots showing anime-style characters and in-game dialogue boxes. It also highlights a gorgeous voice actor lineup and lists names like Kanai Mika, Yumi Toma, Ai Orikasa, and others, indicating a strong focus on voice acting. The bottom right corner announces the game's release date as summer 1997 and a price of 5,800 yen, excluding tax. It also includes website details for Sonnet, the publisher. Overall, it's an advertisement for a paranormal mystery adventure game, with a focus on story and characters, boasting a strong voice cast, and an intriguing supernatural plot. This page is showcasing Wara 2 Wars for the SEGA Saturn. It's advertised as a grand battle simulation game where you aim to conquer continents. The page is filled with colorful characters, a really diverse bunch, including a knight in shining armor, an Egyptian pharaoh, a gray alien, even a kangaroo with boxing gloves, and a cave woman. It seems like the game emphasizes easy controls, exciting gameplay, and massive 100 versus 100 unit battles. They're also highlighting powerful god units, which sounds like special, strong units you can command. There are some screenshots showing the game in action, appearing to be a strategy game with map screens and battle scenes. There's also a present campaign mentioned, where you can win prizes like a digital camera or a Wara 2 Wars themed telecard if you purchase the game. It's promoting the game as being widely accessible and enjoyable for a broad audience. This page is showcasing Kakyusei from Elf, a title that's all about heart-pounding moments. It's presented with scattered images all over the page, giving glimpses into the game's world. You can see it's filled with anime-style girls in various romantic and arousing scenarios. Being on a SEGA Saturn magazine page, it's clearly a title for the console. The overall vibe is very focused on relationships and suggestive themes, which was pretty common for games of this type back then. This page continues to promote the game Kakyusei. The page has a tagline at the top that says, "I want to tell you." There's a prominent image of an anime-style girl in a school uniform holding a briefcase and standing amidst autumnal leaves. Scattered around are smaller diamond-shaped images, giving you glimpses of the game with various anime girls in suggestive poses and romantic situations, reinforcing the game's themes of relationships and mature content. The page also highlights that the game is now on sale as a 3 Kuridram set for 7,800 yen, and it clearly states an age restriction of 18 years and over. This page is all about the popular game Sakura Wars. It announces that Sakura is in full bloom, referencing the game's themes and popularity. It's promoting Sakura Wars Hanagumi Tsushin, a multimedia digital fan disc filled with sound, images, and interviews with the voice actors, priced at 4,800 yen. There's a newspaper-style article discussing compatibility and divination amongst the Sakura Wars characters, featuring character portraits and flowcharts to determine compatibility. Scattered around are screenshots showcasing different aspects of the game, including dialogue scenes and event moments. Advertisements at the bottom highlight various Sakura Wars merchandise. There's the Imperial Secret File, Kudrum, with character data and CG art for 1,437 yen, and the original picture and setting material collection for 1,942 yen. A strategy guide for Sakura Wars Hanagumi Confrontation Column is also advertised for 980 yen. Finally, there's mention of special bonuses included with something, such as an invitation ticket, poster, and papercraft costumes related to the flower division. The page is clearly targeting Sakura Wars fans with news and merchandise related to the game. This page showcases guides and art books for SEGA Saturn games. The Evangelion Second Impression Bible is a complete scenario guide with behind-the-scenes content, interviews, and original scores. The Scud Race Official Guide Volume 1 is an official guide featuring CG illustrations to replicate the arcade experience. The Langrisser Sacred Secret File Photo CD, part of the SEGA Saturn Magazine collection, offers high-quality images and appeals to fans of the series. Last Bronx Official Artworks presents CG art and character designs. Lastly, the Quo Vadis 2 Perfect Guide provides comprehensive information for the SF Simulation RPG, covering combat, character data, and scenario progression. This page is the contents page for SEGA Saturn Magazine Volume 15. It highlights the main features in this issue, starting with a guide to Tokyo Joyopolis for beginners, perfectly timed for Golden Week amusement park outings. There's a special report starting on page 28, covering several games. The featured games include Sonic Jam, Panzer Dragoon Saga, which is listed as a Kazal Panzer Dragoon RPG, Dokyu Usei, Mobile Battleship Nadesico, which has a subtitle asking if love will win in the end, Real Sound Kaze no Regret, Momotaro Dochuki, Kindaichi Case Files SS, Welcome House, Phantasm, Puralula, Gun Frontier, Wonder 3, and Falcom Classics. On the left is an image of Bond from Fighting Vipers, likely representing the amusement theme of the magazine. This magazine issue focuses on SEGA Saturn games, covering new releases, upcoming titles, and existing software. New release title highlights games like Layer Section 2 and Geka Ryujin. Coming soon soft previews titles such as Command & Conquer, Grand Red, and the visual novel Nana Iroh Dreams. The SEGA Saturn Soft Complete Guide provides in-depth coverage of existing games like Mobile Suit Z Gundam and King of Fighters 97. AM Research sections spotlight SEGA's internal development. AM1 Research provides a strategy guide for the House of the Dead. AM2 Research celebrates Barryarm Cop 2's award, and AM3 Research introduces Top Skater and showcases Virtualon X Over. The Game Index offers a table of contents, linking to reviews and articles throughout the magazine. SEGA Saturn Magazine highlights Sega's Private Show 1997 Spring, held in Japan. The event showcased upcoming games, including Dynamite Baseball 97, a baseball game with impressive graphics and a two-player mode, and Aroma Club, a booth featuring aromatherapy. Exciting news for fans of Tokimeki Memorial. A movie adaptation is planned for Fuji TV in August. The film, part of the Bokutachi no Drama series, features a large cast including the game's voice actresses, and will focus on high school summer romances. The article also covers the Tokyo FM Visible Radio Spring Festival, featuring radio dramas, talk shows, and music performances. Finally, the voice cast for Real Sound Kaze no Regret is announced, including Kashiwahara Takashi, Shinohara Tomoe, and Kano Miho, with the project possibly related to a TV drama and game. This page details several promotional events and announcements. Bandai is giving away Evangelion Unit 01 model kits. Manga artist Akira Torishima will be at Ishimaru Electric on May 3rd for a Golden Week event. The first 100 software buyers get a pin and autograph. Sakura Screensaver software and extension kit for Windows 95 is now available. A scale figure giveaway commemorates the Ica OVA series release, with Volume 2 coming in June. Matsushita Electric launched Wonder Town, a virtual pet game service, with digital pets called Toriho. Finally, multiple music releases are announced, including soundtracks and singles from various artists like Taiko and Michael Nyman. This page of the magazine reviews several strategy guide books and art books. It highlights books for the popular Langrisser series, starting with A Secret File for Langrisser, a strategy guide, and a must-win strategy guide for Langrisser 3. These guides offer everything from character profiles and scenario walkthroughs to detailed game data and essential battle tactics. The Secret File even comes with a CRID-ROM and works across Saturn, Windows, and Mac, diving into the making of the game. There's also a guide for online Saturn gaming, covering various genres from shooters to board games, and explaining how to get connected and find game sites for Windows 95 compatible online play. For artbook fans, there are official artworks for the stylish fighting game Last Bronx, showcasing character designs and CG art. Then there is a strategy and setting material collection for the adventure game Kyukyoku Panic Plumeria 2, packed with character art, development sketches, and game progression tips. For sports fans, there's a guide for Professional Baseball Greatest 997, covering team and player stats. Finally, Fighters Megabooks offers a comprehensive strategy guide for fighting games in a manga style, focusing on visual guides and command inputs. This week's top 15 SEGA Saturn games in Japan are led by the new release, Sentimental Graffiti First Window. Professional Baseball Greatest 997 and Terra Quo Vadis 2 take second and third place, respectively. Anime tie-in games like Neon Genesis Evangelion Second Impression and Neon Genesis Evangelion New Package continue to perform well, alongside Sakura Wars columns. Other notable titles include the surprisingly successful Pachinko Simulator, Sankyo Fever, Real Machine Simulation, the classic Theme Park, and strategy titles such as Advanced World War, Senka no Horosha. The chart also features established franchises like Puyo Puyo and YS, along with fighting games like Fighters Megamix, Virtual On, and Cyberbot's Full Metal Madness, offering a diverse look at the Saturn's market at the time. This page offers a glimpse into the world of arcade and SEGA Saturn gaming preferences. It presents two top lists, one based on user desires and another reflecting arcade popularity. The User Data Top 20 showcases SEGA Saturn owners' wishes, with Final Fantasy V2 and Neon Genesis Evangelion, Girlfriend of Steel, at the top. Other desired titles included Dragon Quest, Phantasy Star, and Castlevania, Symphony of the Night. The Shop Data Top 15 ranks arcade games, with Virtua Fighter 3 leading, followed by Tekken 3, and Cyber Troopers Virtual On Oratorio Tangram. Other successful arcade games mentioned included Street Fighter 2i, Real Bout Fatal Fury Special, and The House of the Dead. The page concludes with a review of Street Fighter X Plus, praising its polygonal graphics and gameplay improvements. Screenshots of select games are included. This page reveals the User Data Top 30 for eagerly awaited new SEGA Saturn games. At the very top, in first place, we have Grandia, an RPG, racking up 476 points, though its development progress is still under wraps. Second place is snagged by Sonic Jam, an action title, with 378 points, also with an unknown development percentage. Super Robot Wars F, a simulation RPG, claims third with 341 points and a 35% development completion rate. The page also highlights a pickup check game section. Here, in fourth position, is Kakusei, an adventure game, scoring 340 points and marked as completely finished. Further down in eighth place is a Basil Panzer Dragoon RPG, with 224 points, and again, an unknown development status. Below this, there's a ranking table from positions 4 to 30, listing a plethora of upcoming Saturn titles and their points. You can see games like Virtua Fighter 3, Resident Evil 2, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Lunar Eternal Blue, Langrisser IV, and Dragon Knight 4, all making the list. Finally, in the Other Check, Coming Soon section at the bottom, we get a sneak peek at Quiz Nanero Dreams, Nijirocho no Kiseki, and Marvel Superheroes, hinting at even more exciting titles on the horizon for Saturn gamers. This page showcases the SEGA Saturn Readers Race Volume 50 results, highlighting the top games as voted by readers. It's a real-time ranking to gauge popularity and anticipation for upcoming SEGA Saturn software. The main feature is the Ops Table A's, which is a reader's race ranking. At number 1 is Advanced World War, Steel Empire, an adventure game. We see familiar titles within the top 20 like Sakura Wars 2, Fighters Megamix, and Virtua Fighter 3. Further down the list, games such as Christmas Nights and Lunar Silver Star Story are also ranked. It seems to be a very comprehensive list of Saturn games that readers are interested in. There's a section titled Corner's Viewpoint, which discusses the reader's race itself, explaining that it's based on reader votes to reflect software popularity and anticipation. It mentions that votes are collected and the average rating is calculated. Readers also provide comments. It also notes that the deadline for the next vote is May 1st. A new Arrival Bullet Train section highlights Yukyu Gensukyoku Perpetual Blue, mentioning it is moving up in the ranks, and praises Fighters Vipers movement as well. It hints at future rank movements, and highlights Gungriffon 2 as a title to watch. Overall, this page is a snapshot of SEGA Saturn game popularity, based on reader voting, giving insights into the most anticipated titles at the time, and offering some commentary on the trends in the rankings. The SEGA Saturn Readers Race Volume 50 results continue with Ops Table B, showcasing a diverse range of games ranked 177 to 289 across various genres. Reviews focus on new releases. Metal Slug receives high praise for its arcade-perfect port. Celestial Arc, Quo Vadis 2, is lauded for its character development and story, despite longer loading times. Einhander is recommended for shooter fans, though its difficulty might deter casual players. Dragon Master Silk impresses visually, but the gameplay feels repetitive. Tournament Leader, a simulation game, is accessible and engaging, especially for genre fans, with emphasis on team management and strategic depth. This page continues the SEGA Saturn Readers Race Rankings with Ops Table C, listing games from rank 290 downwards. It also highlights some new soft game reviews. The Ops Table C section continues the reader's race, listing a vast number of Saturn games with their genres and average scores. It's a massive list reflecting the community's opinions on a wide range of titles. Moving to the new soft game reviews, we see Hamlet getting a good score of 7.7333. The review mentions its polygon graphics and serious tone, and despite some difficulty understanding the plot, it's recommended. Henry Explorer scores 7.3, praised as a stress reliever reminiscent of arcade-style shooters, though it's noted to be less impressive compared to existing gun-shooting games. Advanced vs. G scores 5.8, with reviewers commenting on its derivative nature and lack of originality, suggesting it might be only for diehard fans or those who missed earlier entries in the genre. Finally, Stand By Say You receives a very low score of 1.0833. The review is quite harsh, criticizing almost every aspect from graphics to sound and gameplay, concluding it's simply not worth playing. This page highlights upcoming game information and reader engagement features. It kicks off with next issue scheduled paddock information, urging players to check out sequels and new titles. Then, on-site horse racing stable owners' voices shares reader comments with one person praising Des Crimson, likely referring to Crimson Skies, and another excited for Sonic Jam and Fighters Megamix. Moving on, attention must-see works are approaching, teases upcoming titles like Bottom Student and Nadeshiko, the reader-predicted horse racing chance. This section describes a contest where readers predict game rankings. It mentions sending in postcards with predictions for new games, hoping to win prizes. There's also the Ops Table SEGA Saturn peripheral equipment, which lists Saturn peripherals ranked by readers. The top spots are dominated by various joysticks and controllers, including the Virtua Stick Pro, Saturn Control Pad, and multi-controllers. SEGA Saturn Reader Race, participating readers' great recruitment, invites readers to join the magazine's ranking system. The page also details this month's special present, offering a giveaway with prizes like power memory and joysticks, as well as joysticks for lucky readers. Finally, Oops Predicted Horse Racing Chance, Double Chance, details another reader prediction contest, this time focusing on guessing which games will be highly rated. This page is all about Sonic Jam for the Sega Saturn, and reveals more details about Sonic World, which is a key part of the game. It seems like players will be able to explore this 3D world where they can experience various Sonic-themed attractions. The page highlights several areas within Sonic World. First, there's the music shop, where you can listen to background music and sound effects from the series. Then there's the art gallery, to view calendars, posters, and other Sonic artwork. The Hall of Fame seems to be a museum showcasing Sonic's history. There's also a movie theater, where you can watch unreleased movies and commercials from the time. Finally, the Character House lets you see character models and poses, described as having a slightly different feel. The page also mentions Miles, Tails, and Flight Attraction, where you can fly around with Tails in the Sonic world as a way to move and explore. It sounds like a fun way to get around. The game is listed as an action game, scheduled for release in June for 4,800 yen, and is compatible with Marucon. The page is clearly enthusiastic about Sonic Jam and Sonic World, encouraging readers to check it out for themselves. This page reviews Sonic World within Sonic Jam, showcasing its familiar items like rings, jump platforms, and switches, alongside a new Sonic model with a cooler design. The environment is highlighted, displaying lush scenery with detailed grass, water, and islands. An interview with the development team, Nishiyama Yo Nakayuji and Saito Takayuki, reveals insights into their roles and experiences, including the transition from Christmas nights to the Jam world. Playtests indicated kids preferred Sonic World over older games. The team also discussed implementing the spin dash, experimenting with different control schemes, but ultimately decided it wasn't crucial for Sonic World. Sonic Jam revives the original Sonic the Hedgehog, the game that launched the iconic blue blur. The core gameplay loop remains: collect rings, defeat Drive Eggman, and find the Chaos Emeralds across 6 zones, each with distinctive features like Green Hills loops and Labyrinth's water-filled passages. Special stages offer a unique bonus challenge. The article highlights Sonic's resurgence and the improvements in Sonic Jam, notably the spin dash and adjustments to difficulty, especially in Zone 1, Act 2. A 2-player versus mode was added. The developers aimed for balanced difficulty, with a target of normal difficulty by level 3, to accommodate both seasoned players and newcomers. The goal was to make Sonic accessible and enjoyable for all, reflecting the enduring appeal of Sonic 1. This page dives into Sonic the Hedgehog 2 as featured in Sonic Jam, emphasizing its place as a pinnacle in the Sonic series. The article highlights the enhanced speed and accessibility for new players, boosted by the introduction of Tails. It points out collecting Chaos Emeralds as a key objective across the zones, eventually leading to Supersonic. We get a tour of various zones within Sonic 2, including classics like Emerald Hill Zone, the Technological Chemical Plant Zone, Aquatic Ruin Zone with its water puzzles, the Gambling Fun of Casino Night Zone, the Volcanic Hilltop Zone, the Echo-Filled Mystic Cave Zone, the Oil-Slicked Oil Ocean Zone, and the Mechanical Metropolis Zone. Beyond these, it also mentions the Aerial Wing Fortress, the Thrilling Sky Chase, and the Climactic Death Egg Zone. A special stage is also featured with its half-pipe gameplay. The Scoop section reveals a short movie shown at a game show, hinting at what might be next for Sonic, potentially Sonic 3 and Knuckles. There's a quote from a developer discussing the game's design and graphic quality, mentioning the effort put into the visuals and the ongoing development using a prototype for demonstrations. This page unveils the Berserk screen for the upcoming Panzer Dragoon saga, known as a Mezzle in Japan. The article highlights a recent Tokyo Game Show where the development team presented gameplay footage and explained the game. They showcased dragon battles, focusing on combat scenes that had been kept under wraps until now. The spotlight is on the Berserk attack system, a completely new combat mechanic different from previous Panzer Dragoon games. While only a glimpse is shown here, the development team promises even more detailed information was shared at the show. New elements in battle are also teased, with continuous photos detailing the attack scenes. We get a look at homing laser continuous photos, emphasizing the incredibly speedy attack sequences. The combat shown at the game show feels consistent with the series, but introduces relentlessly moving enemies tracked and destroyed by multiple lasers. The developers emphasize the fast-paced and smooth nature of battles, clarifying that even sequences that appear lengthy in still photos actually happen within just 1 or 2 seconds in the game. The positioning and tense back and forth of combat are also points of excitement for the upcoming battles. Panzer Dragoon Saga introduces the Berserk attack system, a powerful offensive capability surpassing previous games' homing lasers. This system offers varied attack patterns, influenced by enemy numbers and formations. Players utilize Berserk points, BP, earned in real time, to unleash these devastating laser barrages. Strategic BP management is crucial, with BP recovery potentially linked to magic or game events. Different Berserk attack types might be tied to elements or enemy states, potentially allowing for effects like changing enemy conditions. Extreme Berserk attacks are also hinted at. The gameplay emphasizes mastering diverse Berserk attacks for effective combat. Screenshots highlight the speed and visual impact of Berserk attacks, showing their ability to swiftly eliminate multiple enemies. The system aims to be visually stunning and strategically essential for Panzer Dragoon Saga. The article details the Old Century defense system, featuring the giant, floating Rockstone. Rockstone acts as a massive obstacle, with giant dragons emerging from behind it, suggesting they are the primary threat. The staff voice section highlights the importance of maneuvering in 3D space around Rockstone, whose position and the enemy layout dynamically shift based on player actions. The series context section connects Rockstone and the dragons to previous Panzer Dragoon games. The Tornado Dragon appeared in the first game, while Rockstone was in Panzer Dragoon Zwei. The article hints at their evolution in Panzer Dragoon Saga. A gigantic battleship boss is introduced, a fusion of Old Century and Imperial technology. Boss battles will occur in diverse locations, with varied attack styles, promising strategic and visually impressive encounters. The page aims to build anticipation for the challenging battles against the Old Century and colossal bosses. The next page continues the Azel Panzer Dragoon RPG developer interview, this time focusing on the battle system and player feedback from game show appearances. Takashita, the main programmer, and Mukayama, in charge of battle scenes, are interviewed. They discuss user reactions at game shows, mentioning positive feedback about the visual style and the anticipation for the game. The interview delves into the Berserk mode, explaining it's evolved from previous Panzer Dragoon games, offering more strategic depth than before. They highlight the variety of enemies, called Tsuvai, noting that their forms and placements change dynamically during battles, requiring players to adapt their strategies. The positioning of Berserk in battles is also discussed, emphasizing the importance of strategic timing and positioning to maximize its effectiveness. The developers are clearly aiming to make the battles engaging and strategically interesting, not just pure shooting action, and are working hard to find the right balance to ensure the game is both accessible and enjoyable for players of different skill levels. The page includes photos of the two developers and a screenshot from the game, reinforcing the focus on the battle aspects of Panzer Dragoon Saga. The developers strongly state that battles should be interesting, otherwise the game is not interesting, which underlines their core philosophy. This page introduces the romance simulation game Kakyusei from Elf, rated for adults 18 and over, and coming on 3 creeds for 7,800 yen. It highlights the game's selling point. This side is for men. Kakyusei highlights checkpoints. It seems to be emphasizing the appeal of the game to a male audience. The page mentions a nudity mode and focuses on how the girl's expressions change based on your actions and relationship with them, which it calls emotional expression that changes depending on likability. The game features various scenarios where you meet girls in town, and your interactions influence their feelings. It details 3 expression states: normal time, where the girl is friendly but not deeply connected yet; angry time, when you upset her; and love, when your relationship deepens and she shows strong affection. The page uses screenshots to showcase these changing expressions, highlighting the girl's reactions as a key gameplay element. It suggests that players need to pay attention to the girl's feelings and responses to succeed in the romance aspect of the game. This page continues to focus on the adult romance sim Kakyusei. The headline suggests, "Today is the day for lovers' dreams to come true," setting the romantic tone of the game. It highlights a specific feature for the SEGA Saturn version. The event scenes can now scroll, offering a more dynamic presentation. They mention that in the game you'll meet Masako-chan, who works at the flower shop, further expanding on the game's characters and scenarios. The page also introduces the character Yuki Mizuho, with a character profile detailing she's in the 3rd year of high school, part of the tennis club, and is a Madonna-like figure in school. While popular, she apparently feels lonely and is concerned about whether people like her for who she is. Her relationships are limited to friendships, but it seems her popularity is on the rise. On the right side of the page, there's a grid of images showing several of the game's heroines in swimsuits, seemingly enjoying themselves by a pool, giving you a glimpse into the kind of romantic scenarios and character interactions you can expect in Kakyusei. This page continues to showcase the depth of the relationship system in Kakyusei. It points out how the girl's dialogue actually changes depending on your affection level with them, which is a cool detail. They use Yuki Mizuho as an example, showing how her lines change from suggesting you go home early when affection is normal, to wanting to spend as much time with you as possible when your relationship is stronger. We also get introduced to a few more of the girls in Kakyusei. There's Yuki Mizuho, who we heard about on the last page, and now we learn more about her background. She's from a strict family and is quite reserved, making her conversations a bit awkward sometimes. Then there's Shindo Reiko, who's totally different, coming from a wealthy family, stylish, and a bit snobby towards guys, making her a bit of a challenge. Finally, there's Tachibana Mayumi, who's a cheerful and outgoing type, already has a boyfriend, and loves having fun in town. The page also mentions that there are 13 dateable girls in total, and that each has their own unique personality. It emphasizes that to succeed in dating them, you need to understand their individual preferences and tailor your dates and conversations accordingly. It looks like Kakyusei really focuses on getting to know these girls and building those relationships. Kakyusei features dynamic seasonal changes, with girls' outfits adapting to spring, summer, autumn, and winter. This attention to detail extends to event-specific attire. The page introduces 3 new potential love interests: Ijima Miyuki, energetic track athlete; Sugakawa Nana, tennis player with fairy tale dreams; and Kanari Ryoko, artistic, self-reliant. The game emphasizes relationship building through events. Special occurrences trigger based on conditions, and gift-giving, especially on holidays and birthdays, strengthens bonds. The inclusion of noteworthy events from the original Saturn version suggests substantial content, making these interactions a key part of the game's charm. This page delves into the climactic moments in romantic relationships, specifically within dating sim games, describing them as etch scenes. It talks about the progression from initial dates to deeper physical intimacy and romantic feelings. The page advises players not to be too forceful or presumptuous in these situations, emphasizing the importance of considering the girl's feelings and building a genuine connection. It uses the phrase, adult relationship, to describe the deeper bond that can form. We see character profiles for 3 girls. Minami Sato A. is described as a second-year high school student, childhood friend of the protagonist, and a shy girl who blushes easily. Midori Asagi is a signboard girl at a fish shop called Idomei Zen in Utsugi Town. She's described as cheerful and popular, with a tomboyish side. Mochida Mahoko is a second-year high school student who works part-time at a flower shop named Cattle Villa, also in Utsugi Town. She is described as diligent, loves reading, and has a refined personality with a love for flowers and nature. These profiles seem to hint at potential dating sim game characters and their personalities that players might encounter. This page introduces 4 characters in a dating sim setting. Yamashita Minatsu, a university student and pianist, is a loner with hidden secrets. An unnamed character is depicted in an intimate scene, hinting at adult relationships. Mitsuki Shizuka, the main character's teacher and school nurse, is mature and reliable, but also a tease. Finally, Tina, a cheerful but secretive third-year student and classmate, is described as having a regal presence. The page expands on the established romance and dating sim themes, presenting a diverse cast of potential love interests with distinct personalities and backgrounds. This page is a developer interview centered around the game Down Classmate. It seems to be a discussion between several people involved in the game's creation, including character designer Katawaki. They are discussing various aspects of the game's development and player experience. The conversation touches on the original graphics being hand-drawn and the impressions this gives. They talk about the adult, or ecchi elements, referring to scenes and content that might be considered suggestive, and how these elements are incorporated. There's a mention of game design choices, such as the text-based adventure format for the PC version, and how they established character settings. The discussion shifts to character design, specifically for the character Miko-chan, and how her design evolved, influenced by elements like fashion and player preferences. They mention that they aim to create characters players can empathize with and enjoy interacting with. The developers also talk about their own gaming experiences, noting that they play games before working on them to understand player perspectives. They discuss the emotional impact of dating sims, highlighting the feelings of pain and heartbreak that can arise, and how Down Classmate aims to create a different kind of emotional experience compared to typical love games, focusing on different kinds of heartbreak. They touch on message strength and the use of music and sound effects to enhance the game's atmosphere. The interview concludes with a question about the reaction from the ELF fan club. This page continues the interview discussing Down Classmate. They talk about the appeal of the female characters in the game, with one person mentioning wanting to create a cute, manga-style girl, different from typical erotic game characters. They touch upon the underclassmate concept and how they aimed for a clean, pure image. The conversation moves to in-game scenarios, mentioning scenes where characters are in compromising positions, but emphasizing they aim to avoid anything too distasteful. They discuss how they approached designing scenarios that would resonate with players, even if they were somewhat predictable. One developer shares a story about a debugging session where they felt a strong emotional reaction to a particular scene, highlighting the emotional impact they were aiming for in the game. They then talk about incorporating player feedback and aiming for a game that is enjoyable and engaging, highlighting the hard work and dedication of the staff involved, mentioning sleep deprivation due to their commitment. The interview wraps up with comments about the positive reception and sales, noting it was their first same-grade themed game, suggesting it may have been a breakout title for them. They mention plans for future titles and express gratitude, emphasizing their love for creating beautiful girl games. This page is a pre-release special feature for the SEGA Saturn game Martian successor, Nadesico. The article announces that it will reveal everything about the Saturn version of the game, asking, in the end, is love the winner after all? It's set to release on May 2nd, and is an adventure game for all ages. The page highlights several topics, including fun ways the Sega logo is incorporated. It mentions the game's story, which continues from where the anime left off, focusing on Akito's role in the Nadesico's launch. The section explores what happens if players miss meeting certain female crew members early on, suggesting romantic elements. Screenshots showcase in-game scenes with Ruri, Eureka, and Akito. The game features an original story, with Chapter 2 titled, For Now, New Standing. Finally, a section titled, "But the World Isn't That Sweet," hints at game challenges. This page details more about the gameplay and story of Martian's successor Nadesico. It explains how you navigate the ship, with crew members acting independently, but you can still target specific characters to meet. Apparently, some male characters appear randomly, so you might miss them on certain playthroughs. The game flow is outlined as moving through movie scenes, save screens, battle modes, and epilogues in a chapter-based structure, emphasizing player choices and quick decision-making. There's a Nadesico lecture section explaining the game's backdrop. Humanity united against a common enemy from Jupiter, leading to the formation of the Earth Federation Army and the Earth Defense Line. It mentions advanced weaponry and defense systems to protect Earth and its colonies. A new face segment introduces Irina, a new pilot and vice captain, suggesting players should prioritize talking to her. The page also touches upon romantic comedy aspects, highlighting the relationship between Goat and Minato, hinting at potential drama and romantic developments. Another section focuses on elevator scenes, showing humorous character interactions. Finally, there's a scene described as taking place in a changing room or bath area with Akito and Eureka, suggesting some potentially suggestive or comedic events can occur, but reassuring players not to worry too much about these situations. There is also a Nadesico saying, which is about how the concept of day and night is strange in space. This page continues the focus on dating in Martian's successor Nadesico, offering relationship advice within the game's virtual room setting. It outlines 3 key points for players looking to romance the characters. Firstly, it advises male players to be proactive in approaching girls. The game allows you to choose date courses and suggests different situations to initiate dates. Secondly, it mentions that sometimes girls will invite you on dates, especially if you've already built a good relationship with them. However, the game may limit scene selection, which can be a drawback. Thirdly, the game emphasizes understanding a girl's feelings. It uses the example of the house escape situation and suggests being considerate of the girl's perspective, highlighting that forcing dates isn't always the best approach. The situation gallery section introduces new character Irina and features various scenes with characters like Korika, Megumi, and Irina herself. These scenarios touch upon themes like practicing together in the gym, comforting Megumi after a match, and even a classroom setting with Irina as a teacher. The page also points out gameplay features, like skipping message windows and cutting voice audio, which are helpful for replayability. These functions are controlled using the Start button and LR triggers. Finally, there's a Nadesico saying at the bottom, humorously noting that while Nadesico is always thinking about money, it's not like they actually want to be doing it. This page continues the deep dive into Martian successor Nadesico, focusing on the battle mode and specifically the main weapon systems of the Estabalis, piloted by Akito. It's titled Battle Mode Basic Knowledge Edition. We see details about 2 main weapons, the Wired Fist and the Gekigen Flare. The Wired Fist is described as effective against optical weapons and best used for direct attacks. The Gekigen Flare uses a heat knife and is effective against physical attacks, used for surprise attacks. There is also a section about pinch time, which is when you can use support attacks from Gay, called Gay Supernapper. This is triggered in story mode when you are in a pinch and Gay helps you out. Finally, the page details the Gravity Blast as the ultimate weapon of the Nadesico. It's a powerful energy weapon that warps space and can destroy enemies with beams and missiles. It mentions that the gravity wave is invisible, but has a large vibration count, and can cause space to be filled with water vapor due to the drying effect of atomic vibration. Apparently, only the Nadesico is currently equipped with this weapon in practical use. At the bottom, there's a humorous Nadeshiko saying, where Nagara asks Akito if he knows the 3 sizes of the captain, hinting at playful banter and character interactions within the game. This page features an interview with game designer and main programmer Naoya Sato, who is known for working on Real Sound. The interview is titled Regret of the Wind and highlights Sato's hectic schedule, joking that he's so busy he can't even meet with company staff. The interview delves into the development of Real Sound, a sound-based interactive drama game. Sato mentions that when he first met Mr. Watanabe, the planner, they were working on a different game, but eventually shifted focus to Real Sound After discussing the concept over ramen, Sato talks about the challenges of creating a sound-only game, emphasizing the importance of conveying emotions and atmosphere through sound alone. He also mentions the concept of liberty degree, which seems to refer to the player's freedom and choices within the game, despite its unique sound-based nature. Sato reflects on user feedback and mentions the goal of creating a system that users can intuitively understand and enjoy without explicit instructions. He humorously concludes with the phrase, "Planning and precedent are unreasonable," Sato, suggesting some development challenges and perhaps demanding management. This page features an interview with game designer Osamu Watanabe. He mentions he's 37 years old and works long hours, sometimes only sleeping for 3 hours at a time. The interview discusses the development of games, specifically referencing real sound and a project called E0. Watanabe talks about the challenges of fitting high-quality sound data onto CDs, especially when aiming for CD-quality audio, while being mindful of memory limitations. He mentions that initially, they thought 3 hours of CD audio would be enough, but realized it wasn't. Watanabe also touches on the technical side, explaining that he was working on programming aspects and how the amount of program code is relatively small compared to the sound data. He mentions that in real sound, they prioritize sound quality over other elements, and even though the internal sound source is limited, the CD quality audio is prioritized. Comparing E0 to real sound, he discusses the data size and the need to balance sound quality with memory constraints. He mentions the real sound concept and how it's about twice the data size of E0, almost comparable to movie and sound data. Watanabe seems eager to move on to new projects, suggesting he's looking forward to the next challenge. He also humorously comments about planning and memos being unnecessary at Sato's level of expertise. This page is an advertisement for the SEGA Saturn game Momotaro Duchuki, which is described as a bombastic Sugoroku, or board game. It's being positioned as the definitive edition of the Momotaro series, drawing comparisons to the popular Momotaro Dentetsu Railroad games from the PC Engine and Super Famicom era. The game is set in the Edo period and features a map of Japan, where players travel through various regions, from Hokkaido in the north to Okinawa in the south, buying properties along the way. It promises the series' signature gags and a vibrant, lively Edo-era setting. The page includes a developer interview section with someone named Ikeda. He discusses the Edo setting and mentions that the game incorporates a lot of zany parody and aims for a nostalgic feeling. He mentions that Yuki Hide is handling the music, and they are trying to capture the fun of the Momotaro Dentetsu games, while making this installment even more packed with content, aiming for something oversaturated with enjoyment. The advert also highlights a special report 50% section, which is likely a discount or special offer. The game is slated for release in July 1997 and supports 1 to 4 players. This page delves deeper into the SEGA Saturn game Momotaro Duchuki, highlighting its Edo Check renewal and various events. It seems to be emphasizing a revamped Edo-era experience. The page introduces Bonbi, described as the Great Demon King, who boasts red horn power and can transform into a demon human. Gameplay appears to revolve around buying land from others and indulging in extravagant luxury. There's mention of dice rolling mechanics with Saikoro 30 shake around and something about Demon Lord's troops. An interview with Mr. Ikeda from Hudson reveals that the game aims to recapture the fun of previous titles but with even more content, aiming for an oversaturated level of enjoyment. He mentions that they are targeting players who have enjoyed the series so far and are incorporating high-tension gameplay elements. He also mentions an Edo Pro mode exclusive to the Saturn version, offering rice tickets as starting capital in the Peach Iron setting. The right side of the page introduces the talented team behind the game, listing voice actors and staff involved. Under the banner, "Under the Gate, come on, let's gather the talented members." Finally, there's an advertisement from Hudson presenting a demo Xdrom containing playable demos of Virus, Willy Wombat, Bulk Slash, Ancient History Mystery Story, 100 Monsters Story, and a Momotaro Duchuki medium course demo, available to readers who send in a postcard. This page announces the SEGA Saturn game, the Kindaichi Case Files, which is described as a unique adventure game. In a twist, you play as the criminal, planning and executing crimes while evading Kindaichi and the police, making it a very different type of adventure game. The game's story is described as a sad tale of revenge, featuring characters like Takuya Asagiri and Yufu Tachibana, and revolves around a scandal and suicide. The screenshots shown hint at crime scenes and character interactions. The page also touches upon the voice acting, mentioning Taiki Matsuno as the voice of Kindaichi, and briefly discusses the casting choices and voice acting in the game. It also introduces the world of the Kindaichi case files, originating from Weekly Shonen Magazine, and introduces the main character, Hajime Kindaichi, a genius detective. This page delves deeper into the Sega Saturn game, the Kindaichi Case Files, highlighting its unique gameplay style as a sound novel, where you play as the criminal trying to pull off the perfect crime on the isolated, star-watching island. The story revolves around revenge and takes place during a resort's pre-opening event that quickly turns into a murder scene. The game utilizes a sound novel format for dialogue and story progression, but adds a twist by allowing you to actively gather information and investigate scenes. It also features real-time suspense sections presented in a 3D action mode, where you need to perform actions with precise timing, like hiding or tampering with objects. The page includes an interview with director Kimura, who explains the core concept, letting players experience being the criminal. He points out that most mystery games cast you as the detective, but this game flips the script. Kimura emphasizes the thrill of planning and executing the perfect crime, aiming to deliver a fresh and exciting experience for mystery fans who want to delve into the criminal's perspective within the world of Kindaichi. He also mentions the effort put into making the player feel truly immersed in the role of the culprit and enjoy the strategic and challenging nature of the gameplay. This page introduces us to Welcome House, described as an American cartoon-style, polygon cartoon, adventure game coming to the Sega Saturn. It's set in the 1950s America and focuses on the main character, Keaton, who visits a rich uncle's new mansion in Miami. However, Keaton finds himself unable to leave the house. The page highlights the game's unique wow point system, which is triggered when Keaton finds himself in absurd or comical situations within the house, like slipping on a banana peel or finding Tamari making food. The game seems to be emphasizing comedic and cartoonish elements within its 3D adventure gameplay. We learn that Keaton, the protagonist, is described as a freedom man with a strong sense of justice, who speaks English fluently. The uncle, Uncle Parkinson, appears to be the reason Keaton is trapped, as the text suggests he is mischievous and won't let Keaton leave until he can see him. The game seems to revolve around Keaton trying to escape this bizarre situation in his uncle's house. This page continues to introduce Welcome House. It emphasizes the game's humorous and absurd nature, asking if it's a nightmare or a comedy sketch. The player, as Keaton, is trapped in his uncle's house and must find a way out by solving riddles, finding switches, and ultimately locating Uncle Parkinson to be let out. The game is full of ridiculous traps in Uncle's mansion, described as cartoonish and over-the-top, like oil spills on the floor and stairs that vanish when you step on them. Items are key to escaping, ranging from useful objects like keys to bizarre items like chicken and garlic, further highlighting the game's comedic tone. The page highlights the item get and gyafun moments, suggesting surprising and funny situations will occur. The game uses polygon graphics to create a cartoonish and comical visual style. There are also interviews with Mr. Inoue and Mr. Toshiro from Imagineer and Gast. They talk about aiming for a new direction for adventure games, moving away from traditional text-based adventures and focusing on comedic elements. They mention that Welcome House is a game with a unique concept that blends humor and adventure. They were inspired by the atmosphere of 1950s America and aimed to create a game with a uniquely Japanese sense of humor, creating something different from typical adventure games. They also mention the main character being stuck against a wall in a funny scene. This page introduces Phantasm, a horror adventure game coming to Sega Saturn in August, priced at 9,800 yen, developed by IET. It's described as a large-scale, spine-chilling experience utilizing live-action footage combined with CG graphics for a movie-like presentation. There's a developer interview with Murazawa Yuichi, the chief programmer, and Kurita Koji, the CG designer. Murazawa mentions the game is 70% complete and dives into the challenges of blending live-action and CG, noting they've specifically optimized it for the Saturn and created backgrounds directly for the system. He also mentions adjustable difficulty levels, with a harder original mode and an easier image mode. Kurita talks about the unique aspects they're bringing to the Saturn version, with a focus on crafting truly terrifying and grotesque scenes intended to be enjoyable for players. The page also touches on the story, which is set in New England and revolves around a character named Edbrinian and her husband Dan, promising a deeply disturbing tale. This page delves into the gameplay of Phantasm, highlighting its chapter-based structure and the core gameplay loop of exploring a mysterious mansion. The game is set in a bizarre mansion where strange occurrences happen daily, and you play as Edrian to unravel the secrets within. Expect to find yourself in intricately designed rooms, even behind ornate doors, as you investigate. Items are crucial to the story, and you'll need to be observant to find them hidden around the mansion. Don't dismiss anything as useless, as even something like a dog bone could play a vital role later. You'll need to use your items strategically to progress and solve puzzles, so think carefully about how to utilize them. The game interface is also explained, featuring a help function that gives hints about items and where to go next, an item screen to manage your inventory, and a movement cursor that changes shape to indicate interaction points. There's also a map to help you navigate the sprawling mansion, and an option screen to manage settings like save, cursor options, and background music. The page teases a secret room hidden somewhere in the mansion, hinting at further mysteries to uncover behind bookshelves. Exploration seems key, with the game encouraging you to thoroughly examine every corner of the environment, even drawers filled with small objects, to find clues and items. It really looks like a game where every detail might be important as you delve deeper into the nightmare. This page introduces Gun Frontier, which they are calling a gold rush shooting game. It's described as an orthodox, yet simple-to-control shooting game, emphasizing shot and bomb actions, perfect for shooting game maniacs. The game mechanics are designed around the concept of iron, for both the player's mecha and the enemies. Your own ship fires bullets, and enemies are described as launching missiles and other attacks, with detailed effects. The setting is a wasteland-style world in the near future. It seems humans have ventured out to resource-rich planets, triggering a gold rush. However, conflict arises with the local inhabitants, referred to as wild lizards. The game revolves around two combat aircraft fighting against this threat, with the fate of humanity hanging in the balance. Gun Frontier is highlighted as an exquisite port from a 1991 arcade game, being exclusively brought to the Saturn. It's slated for a July release, priced at 4,800 yen, and is categorized as an excite shooting game that's suitable for all ages. The article emphasizes the game's hard-edged, metallic feel and promises a thrilling experience for players. It's framed as a masterpiece that will resonate with shooting game fans. This page is all about Pulirula, which they are calling a heartwarming manic action game from Taito. They're highlighting this as the very first volume in their Gamest Gears series, aiming to bring classic arcade experiences to the Saturn. The game itself is described as a resurrected masterpiece for Saturn, where you play as Zack and Mel, tasked with recovering stolen Neri using their time-stopping magic. The article emphasizes the cute and gentle atmosphere, even with the chaotic action. It mentions that the enemies, despite being monsters, are still somewhat charming. Pulirula is noted for being previously released on FM Towns and Marty computers, and this Saturn version is being touted as a significant upgrade, especially in resolution. The screenshots show off the colorful and quirky gameplay, featuring magic spells like range freeze and animal companions adding to the chaotic fun. They mention this incomprehensible magic and animal strange actions as key features. It's stated as an exciting action game suitable for all ages and set for release in July for 4,800 yen. Overall, it sounds like they're positioning Pulirula as a charming and enjoyable arcade port for Saturn fans. This page introduces us to Roosters, a horizontal scrolling action shooting game where you play as Rue and Shiva on a quest to find the legendary vehicle, Chariot. The aim is to reach the demon castle while battling enemies and powering up your weapons. The game features varied stages and option items like fire, thunder, and ice companions to help you on your adventure. The story is about a world ruled by demons, and the heroes, Rue and Shiva, are tasked with finding the chariot. They meet an old sage who gives them a card, enabling them to fly in the sky on the chariot to defeat the Demon King in his castle. The article highlights that you'll face various types of monsters in the Demon Castle, and you can power up your weapons and items. Enemies get tougher with each hit, but they can be defeated quickly with repeated attacks. Then it shifts to Wonder 3, presented as a collection of 3 games in one: Roosters, Donpachi, and Puzzle Bobble. It's part of the Gamest Gears Volume S3 series and is described as an exciting July release for 5,800 yen, recommended for all ages. Originally an arcade game from Capcom in 1991, Wonder 3 on Saturn is portrayed as a great package with a fantasy setting, unique characters, and cute animals in Donpachi, offering players a variety of gameplay experiences. They even joke about being spoiled for choice on which game to play first. This page delves deeper into Chariot, which, as we know, is part of the Wonder 3 collection. It highlights that in Chariots, up to 2 players can team up to control chariots and fight through a fantasy world. It's a vertical scrolling shooter where you can utilize wide shots and rapid fire and power-ups to boost your attack range, shot speed, and destructive power. You can even equip option items, like tail options that attack enemies to your rear for extra firepower. Then it switches focus to Donpachi, another game within Wonder 3. It's described as a comical puzzle game where you control Don and Puru. The gameplay involves pushing blocks to defeat enemies, like rampaging dragons and slimes. You clear stages by defeating all enemies and destroying normal blocks, moving blocks strategically, especially forming lines of heart-marked blocks horizontally, grants bonus points. It mentions that bumping into enemies results in a miss, and time affects the speed of blocks, meaning faster blocks as time passes, leading to more powerful attacks. Finally, the page briefly mentions Puzzle Bobble, referring to it as a block puzzle game, where you aim and launch bubbles to match colors and eliminate them. It notes that by clearing all the blocks, you proceed to the next stage. This page spotlights Falcom Classics Dragon Slayer, presented as a special report, with the game being 30% complete at the time of writing. It's from Japan Victor and Nihon Falcom, slated for release in November. There will be a regular edition for 5,800 yen, and a limited first edition 2-disc set for 6,800 yen. It's an RPG suitable for all ages and for one player. The article mentions this version is based on what was shown at the Tokyo Game Show 97, and they're showcasing the Saturn version in detail. They emphasize that the graphics are nearing completion, and they want players to experience the original atmosphere through the Saturn's visuals. It highlights the revival of this masterpiece action RPG, noting the Saturn version has a top-down perspective with modernized graphics, selectable viewpoints, and both original and arranged background music. Gameplay-wise, you can view detailed monster data, and the rules are simple: collect items, gain experience, and utilize magic to grow your character and explore the map. The ultimate goal is to defeat the 4 Dragon Kings. There's a section showcasing gorgeous magic techniques, such as jump, return, map, kick, break, freeze, flash, and fly, each accompanied by a screenshot illustrating the magic in action within the game. This page focuses on the game Xanadu, calling it a timeless masterpiece even now. It highlights that while the original mode is unfortunately not available at this point, the Saturn version is being showcased, building on what was seen at Tokyo Game Show 97. The article mentions improvements and changes, like easier equipment management and item usage, making it more user-friendly than the PC version. There are sections detailing gameplay aspects like dungeon exploration, encountering enemies, battles, and treasure collection, each with screenshots. It emphasizes the beautiful graphics of the game. The reviewer points out that changes have been made to make the game simpler, such as viewing equipment and items freely, making it more playable compared to the original PC version. The page also positions Xanadu as a foundational RPG, highlighting features like finding gold altars and specific items. It mentions familiar elements from the original, like half-character shifting, are retained. Finally, it explains spot processing, a graphic technique where only the area around the player character is brightly lit, a feature faithfully reproduced in this version. The page concludes by noting that while Saturn uses spot processing, the visibility might feel a bit constrained. The YS logo also appears on the page, potentially linking it to Falcom, the developers. This page is all about 2 games from Elf, Dukusei 2, and Graduation Less. It seems like Dukusei 2 is getting another story, described as a side story that's being bundled together with Graduation. They're calling it a 2-disc Y package, and saying it's coming out soon. Dukusei 2 is labeled as a romance-adventure game. Below that, they're talking about Graduation S, saying, "We'll meet soon," and labeling it a raising simulation game, also with a coming soon tag. Both titles seem to be highly anticipated, judging by the "sorry to keep you waiting" at the top. The page has artwork of characters from both games, showcasing the typical anime style you'd expect from these genres at the time. It's basically a hype page for these 2 upcoming Elf titles on the SEGA Saturn. This page features the Dream Access Reader Submission Corner. There's a personality section with a witch-like character, labeled Gasuketsu. In Games of the Week, the writer talks about playing games, mentioning they bought a yellow Nendo brand windbreaker. They've been playing Densha to Go in arcades, and wish for better arcade controllers, even dreaming of holographic screens. They also mention karaoke and practicing pachinko. This week's Simple Eyes Best section showcases 2 reader submissions, simple illustrations with funny names. Huaprichi by Tokyo Crazy Gigi and Sakura by Tokyo Tsuyoi Robo. The Gatsuketsu column is about saving money. The writer discusses switching to cheaper cigarettes and cooking at home to cut costs, recommending simple meals like miso udon. The earlier in-game arcade section seems a bit confusing, mentioning pen names and unclear magazine content. The amusement park section details attending game shows like Tokyo Toy Show, Tokyo Game Show, and AOU Show in Tokyo. The writer wishes these kinds of events were held nationwide, so people outside of major cities could attend. Finally, the convenience store corner humorously recounts an incident at a convenience store register when the cashier got confused by advertisement barcodes when scanning a Bentine item. The SEGA Saturn Users Conference, 97, features reader feedback. One reader yearns for the Saturn to recapture the Mega Drive's innovative spirit, suggesting SEGA solicit game ideas from users, specifically mentioning RPGs. Another proposes an idea contest to generate fresh game concepts. Enthusiastic readers celebrate Nihon Falcom's Saturn debut, anticipating YSIV. The Premium Goods section sees a complaint about the high cost of limited edition items. Digimon 2 receives rave reviews for its graphics, sound, and gameplay, lauded as a must-play shooter. The This Week's Our Outsiders section displays humorous illustrations. The Good Game Discovery Liaison Committee recommends Alien Soldier and Stellar Assault on the Mega Drive. The latter reader hopes for a Saturn remake of Stellar Assault with enhanced visuals and scenario. The next page kicks off with the Industry Detective Agency, where readers send in questions about the games industry. This time they're asking for ideas for new magazine corners, promising it will be fun. Then there's Planning Room Bachan, where readers pitch game ideas, from good to bad. One example idea is Bachan Crush, a gamer-raising simulation game where you play as a gamer striving to become an iron person. You'd spend your time at game centers, intensely practicing, aiming to win money and become skilled. They even mention national tournaments and events. The Brushpen Consultation Office is showcasing game character drawings done with brush pens, and the character is shown in the image below. Comic DA presents 4-panel comics from readers across different prefectures, with various themes like New Year's Greetings, a Janet's Challenge comic, Sake and Tears and Men 3-panel, and one titled Tokyo Kasetsu Ita A. Finally, Release Scoop King's Ear is dishing out release news, mentioning the Saturn versions of Virtua Cop 2, Rent a Hero, Sakura Wars, and Lovers Megamix. They also touch on Roommate Inoue Ryoko, and speculate that if it does well, Roommate Wellwater Ryoko might also be released. There's talk of collaborations and the potential for million-selling hits. This magazine features reader submissions across various categories. This week's best one showcases a dramatic Sega Rally crash photo from Fukuoka, praised for its quality. Dream Museum seeks impactful illustrations. This week's Suketsu Award highlights a cool bare-knuckle illustration. Further sections include detailed commentary on the Sega Rally photo, an angelic illustration from Gunma, and a dynamic Virtua Fighter 3-pane illustration from Hyogo. Program information details submission guidelines for different sections, including game experiences, opinions, comics, and hidden game gems. The magazine also encourages submissions for game ideas, character art, strategy tips, rumors, girl gamer content, and shopping stories. Reader participation is highly encouraged, with prize incentives and a clear address for submissions. This page is a full-page advertisement for something called the Mild Cyber Program, framed as a new fighting technique, correspondence course, that promises to make you a pro fighter by changing your brainwaves. It's claiming that recent scientific breakthroughs allow you to become incredibly strong just by listening to tapes for 10 minutes a day. The ad uses manga panels to illustrate the transformation. It shows a kid initially getting bullied and wanting to become stronger, Then, after using the program, he's suddenly surrounded by admirers and looks much tougher. They're boasting about a 3 to 5 times increase in power, speed, and destructive power. There's even a testimonial from a 16-year-old named Susumu Miura from Tokyo, sharing his experience of using the tape listening method. To entice people further, they're offering free materials, including detailed color information about the mid-cyber program, and a secret tape that supposedly makes you 100% stronger. To get these freebies, you need to send a postcard to the JBA Brainpower Research Center with your details like name, address, phone number, age, and a request for mid information. It's presented like a late-night infomercial in print form, promising unbelievable results through a simple method. This page covers Warp's appearance at the Tokyo Game Show, and it sounds like it was a pretty wild time. The article mentions Ino Kenji, suggesting he was there and that their presentation was a big hit. There's a photo of a creators crosstalk session with Sega's Yuji Naka, which must have been interesting. One attendee comments about missing the older style of Sega games like Sonic Jam and Knights, feeling that recent Sega titles are a bit different. It seems Kenji Ino was quite the character, as there's a picture of him shouting loudly towards nearby booths, playfully yelling, "Shut up!" and "Princess-sama!" However, the event organization, SESA, gets some criticism too. They mention long waits in the rain, entrance fees, and feeling like the Tokyo Game Show might be too cramped for the number of attendees, questioning if the venue can handle such large crowds. There are also sections dedicated to reader contributions on topics like Ladies Warp and Men in Sake, plus contact information for SEGA Saturn Magazine, Warp, and SoftBank. This page showcases a selection of interesting books published by SoftBank. First up is Otaku Amigos, written by Okada Toshio, Karasawa Toshiichi, and Nemuta Nao. It's described as a collection of heated discussions from 3 prominent figures about otaku culture, aiming to challenge existing paradigms. It seems to be a deep dive into the otaku world, inviting readers to join in as amigos. The book also features a luxurious guest section, with contributions from people like manga artists Shinpei Ito and Sanbon Kko, illustrator Yuji Kaida, manga critic Kentaro Takekuma, rakugo storyteller Danshin Tatekawa, manga artist Reiko Terashima, film director Yoshio Nakano, and SF writer and SF Writer Club president Hiroshi Yamamoto. Next we have Dungeon Henhen by Sakata Yasuko. This book is a compilation of columns originally serialized in Super 64, which are now available in book form. It's packed with comics and other fun content, offering a humorous take on gaming from a manga artist known for their work with Game Freak. Finally, there's Game Machine is Daisy Daisy Song by Ono Fuyumi, with illustrations by Mizutama Keinosuke. This book compiles columns from the Super Famicom magazine. It's written by the novelist Ono Fuyumi, famous for The 12 Kingdoms and other fantasy works. She shares her thoughts on games, especially retro games, from a unique perspective, brought to life with illustrations by Mizutama Keinosuke. All these books are reasonably priced around 970 to 1,300 yen. Sega's May prize offerings heavily feature Neon Genesis Evangelion, with the Ray Wave special set of 5 Ray Ayanami figures as a top pick. Additional Evangelion prizes include keychains with plug suit and angel designs. Other prize highlights include Kenkin sound mascots, laughing dog toys, and Puyo Puyo Tsu wind chimes. Sakura Wars keychains are also available. Sega provides multiple ways to stay informed. The Sega Joy Joy telephone for weekly updates, the Sega Fax Club for prize information, and Sega Video Magazine VHS tapes, Volume 30, showcasing games. Flash Sega Saturn CDs, Volume 16, offer game demos. The Sega Pasocon Net online service is recommended for information, and contact details are provided for various Sega services, including phone, fax, and website addresses for Sega and GameBusters. Sega Sports now highlights Sega's American football team, the Thunderbolts. Formed 6 years prior, they compete in the spring and autumn leagues, aiming for a 3rd consecutive Spring League victory. The team emphasizes strategic gameplay, mirroring Sega's company image. They utilize Tecmo Super Bowl and Quarterback Club for game development, and are integrating new talent. The article highlights the sport's exciting elements and includes comments from radio personalities. Take-chan discusses his Golden Week holiday, Fukuzawa mentions game shows, and Honey Hanaya talks about new acquaintances and using a digital camera. The page concludes with a call for reader submissions of questions and illustrations, and a giveaway of a Sakura Wars prize set. This page is a SEGA Saturn software databank, covering games released between November 1994 and April 1997. It's essentially a reader-voted ranking system and review section for SEGA Saturn games. You'll find a large table listing various games, with details such as release dates, titles, developers, prices, genres, reviewer ratings, and compatibility information like controller types. Looking through the games, you can see titles like Virtua Fighter, Wanchai Connection, Mahjong Goku, Gale Racer, Clockwork Knight, Victory Goal, Pebble Beach Golf Links, Rampo, Idol Janshi Suchipai Special, and many more. The reviews are based on a panel of 3 judges, and games not suitable for review or not meeting a certain standard are marked with A. The X indicates a game that is not recommended. The table is quite extensive and offers a snapshot of the SEGA Saturn game library from that period based on reader feedback. This page continues the SEGA Saturn software databank. It's packed with more game listings, continuing the format of the previous page with game titles, developers, genres, pricing, reviewer scores, and compatibility notes. Looking through the titles, there are quite a few recognizable games. For example, you can spot Virtua Fighter Remix, Clockwork Knight 2, Pebble Beach Golf Links, and Victory Goal 96. There's a good mix of genres represented, from fighting and action games to sports and puzzle titles. The page features a lot of data. It's essentially a long list of games with their associated information, like release dates, prices, and ratings from the 3 reviewers. You can see the reader's review score and the judge's evaluation points. The judge's evaluation points are based on a scale out of 10, and you can see how each of the 3 judges rated each game. The total points and average points are also listed. Some games have compatibility notes like mouse or analog controller. Some entries also include a X mark, which, as we know from the previous page, means not recommended. It's a dense page full of information aimed at SEGA Saturn owners looking for game recommendations and details from the period, presented in a ranked list format based on reader votes and judge reviews. This page is a continuation of the SEGA Saturn game listings, diving deeper into the software databank. Just like the previous page, it's a packed table format showing a ton of games with info like their maker, genre, price in yen, and importantly, review scores from both readers and judges. Looking through the titles, we see a real mix of games. There's Guardian Force, a shooting game, Sonic Wings Special, which is another shooter, and even titles like Body Special 264 and Daytona USA Circuit Edition. Sports games are also represented with titles like Olympic Soccer. Puzzle fans can find games like Puzzle Bobble 3. The reviews are interesting to look at, with scores from 3 judges and an average score, plus reader reviews giving a good overall picture of how games were received. Some games even have notes about controller compatibility, like needing a mouse or analog controller. It's a really detailed snapshot of the Saturn game library from that period, giving you a sense of what was available and what reviewers and players thought. This page continues with the extensive SEGA Saturn software databank listings. It's packed with game information in a table format, covering everything from fighting games to RPGs and puzzle titles. You'll see well-known games like Fighters Megamix, Last Bronx, and a bunch of Virtua Fighter titles such as Virtua Fighter Kids and Virtua Fighter 2. There are also racing games listed, including Sonic R and Sega Rally Championship. Looking at the genres, there's a good variety, with shooting, RPG, puzzle, action, and fighting games all well represented. The table also includes prices in yen, review scores from judges and readers, giving a good indication of game quality. Some entries have notes about required peripherals, like RAM carts or mouse compatibility, which is handy for players back then. It's a really comprehensive snapshot of the SEGA Saturn game library at the time. This page continues the databank index, still packed with a huge list of SEGA Saturn games. It seems to be organized alphabetically, going from Deep Fear all the way through to Zork. You can see a massive variety of game titles listed here, covering pretty much every genre you can imagine. There's action with games like Deep Fear, Clockwork Knight, and Street Fighter, shooting titles like Sonic Wings Special and Panzer Dragoon, and even puzzle games like Lemmings. It's a really comprehensive catalog, showing just how many games were available on the SEGA Saturn at the time, ranging from well-known titles to some more obscure ones. The page is mostly lists of game names, with some reference numbers, but it really gives you a sense of the sheer breadth of the SEGA Saturn software library. This page continues the SEGA Saturn Game Index, and it's still packed with titles, going from Turfwind 96, right through to Lupin III. You can see a massive variety of games listed, including racing games like Turfwind, RPGs such as Great Fortune Telling, fighting games with a whole bunch of Virtua Fighter titles, and spin-offs, puzzle games, and even genres like mahjong and casino games. There are many Japanese-specific titles here, but you'll also spot some familiar international releases like Die Hard Trilogy, Theme Park, Tetris S, Worms, Mortal Kombat, and Lunar Silver Star Story. It really highlights just how many games were available for the Saturn, showcasing a huge and diverse software library. This magazine page focuses on SEGA Saturn content and reader engagement. It begins with a survey gathering reader demographics, Saturn ownership details, and opinions on the magazine itself. A comprehensive hardware list details the console market, while a software list showcases the Saturn's diverse game library, from fighting games like Darkstalkers and Virtua Fighter to RPGs like Princess Crown and Lunar, alongside action titles, platformers, and shoot-'em-ups. The page concludes with a list of articles, including features on games like Sonic Jam and Panzer Dragoon RPG, reader sections, and developer insights, giving a broad overview of the magazine's content and the Saturn scene. This guide provides essential information for first-time visitors to Tokyo Joysopolis, a SEGA amusement park located in Dex Tokyo Beach. The guide is split into two main sections. The first section focuses on location and transportation, helping visitors plan their journey. It highlights train and car options, providing detailed information on public transport routes, travel times from major stations, and parking details. The second section explains ticket purchasing. It details the ticket system, clarifying adult and child classifications, and outlining options for entrance-only tickets, or tickets that include access to attractions. The guide includes information on ticket prices and where to purchase them within the park. This guide to Tokyo Joyopolis recommends a strategic approach to maximize your visit. Covering 3 floors, 3F, 5F, it suggests starting on 3F and working your way up. Consulting staff for guidance is advised. Specific attractions highlighted include Timefall, 3F, a time travel experience involving a simulated drop, 800 yen, 140 centimeters height minimum, and Rail Chase the Ride, 3F, a police chase simulation, 700 yen, 140 centimeters height minimum. The guide also lists attractions on each floor. 5F, the Crypt, etc., 4F, Carnival Game, etc., and 3F, including the previously mentioned rides and other attractions. This page serves as an essential roadmap for navigating Tokyo Joyopolis. Tokyo Joyopolis offers diverse attractions. Halfpipe Canyon is a thrilling snowboarding/skateboarding simulator. The Crypt is a surprisingly scary haunted house. Other attractions include Aqua Nova, submarine simulator, as one, VR journey through space and microscopic worlds, Power Sled, bobsleigh ride, Beast in Darkness, horror house, and Weird Photo Studio. Treasure Panic is a minigame. Fortune Museum offers personality analysis, and V-Stage hosts events. Beyond Games, Sega Arena is a video game arcade. Carnival Games feature physical games with prizes. Metal Game offers casino-style games. Age restrictions may apply. Facilities include ticket machines, restrooms, and a cafe. This page shows more ways to enjoy Tokyo Joyopolis beyond just the attractions. First up, in Guide 4 it talks about Fantactive Square, which is like a chilled-out internet cafe zone inside Joyopolis. It's called Joynet Express and Fantaractive Square. You can relax, enjoy the internet vibe, and play on interactive floor projections. Guide 5 is all about food when you get hungry at the All Players Cafe/Bay. Located on the 5th floor, it offers great views, especially of the Rainbow Bridge on a sunny day. They also have a bar area that opens after 5 p.m. called Bar Bay. They even mention you can get Dippin' Dots ice cream there. Next, Guide 6 is for souvenirs at the Sega Sonic and Tails shop near the exit. It's packed with Sonic and Tails character goods, perfect for remembering your visit. They list a few items, like a VF3 t-shirt, Sonic cookies, pencil cases, pens, and erasers with prices. Finally, Guide 7 highlights checking out the various events happening at Joyopolis, especially on weekends and holidays. They mention events like Sonic and Play, St. Purikura Church, and the VF3 World Cup Finals, suggesting there's always something extra going on. There's also a little bonus section at the bottom reminding you that Odaiba, where Tokyo Joyopolis is located, has plenty to offer beyond just Joyopolis itself, like other attractions, parks, and waterfront areas. This guide details 5 SEGA ATP5 venues, primarily in and around Tokyo, modeled after Tokyo Joyopolis. The venues include Shinjuku Joyopolis, with attractions like Sagarali Special Stage, and a 97 Spring Hello Sun campaign. Yokohama Joyopolis features Rail Chase the Ride and VR1, with Print Enjoyment Club Preclustery, and Stamp Rally the Bingo 2 events. Osaka ATC Garbo, the original Sega theme park, offers Ghost Hunters 2 and Power Image Navigator, alongside the Garbo Day Quiz. Fukuoka Joyopolis showcases Aquanova and VR1, with a Fukuoka JP admission ticket free AMC popcorn campaign. Lastly, Niigata Joyopolis includes VR1 and Ghost Hunters, hosting the 3rd Joyopolis horizontal mini-track race hyper event. Each venue features a unique mix of attractions and limited-time events. 2 Namco theme park venues are highlighted: Namco Wonder Eggs 2 and Namco Namja Town. Wonder Eggs 2, in Futako Tamagawa, is celebrating its 5th anniversary with a Golden Week event featuring the Miracle Tours ride, also known as RGB Adventure, a treasure hunt, and various arcade attractions. Ticket options include Wonder Passport and Wonder Entry. Namco Namja Town, in Ikebukuro Sunshine City, focuses on a nostalgic, theatrical experience, with 5 themed areas recreating 1930s to 1950s Japan. Attractions include Namja Exploring Company. Ticket options include Namja Entry, Namja Passport, and Namja Night Pass, with pricing variations. This page details attractions at Namco theme parks, focusing on special Golden Week events. Neo Geo World, SNK, features King of Fighters music and ride attractions like IMAX Ride Film and Ghost Hunters, with varying ticket options and height restrictions. A horror-themed experience featuring Freddy Krueger is also advertised. Joysopolis is highlighted as a date spot. At Namja Town, the Stray Cat Detective Troop Incident File, a detective game, is a Golden Week special. Wonder Eggs 2 presents Firebird, a virtual reality Thunderbird air cavalry experience. Public Bath Quiz Don Barako, a quiz game in Namja Town, and Namja Visa Stamp Collection offer additional entertainment. Overall, the page promotes the diverse experiences available at Namco theme parks. This page from SEGA Saturn Press Magazine highlights the latest and upcoming game releases for the SEGA Saturn. Under the new release title section, they are featuring Galactic Attack, also known as Layer Section 2, alongside Virus, It Is Aware, and Xian Ryu. There's also mention of sound novel Tsukuru 2, a game creation tool for sound novels, and AI Go Saturn Ban, likely an AI-powered Go game. Moving on to Coming Soon Soft, the magazine previews a range of titles set to release soon. This includes Command & Conquer, and games that seem to be Japan exclusive like Grand Red Nanero Dreams, Nijirocho no Kiseki, which could be translated as Rainbow-Colored Town Miracle, Rakuchaku Game Designer, Tsukute Pon, which sounds like a puzzle game creation tool, Assault, Civilization, Elfo Karu Monotachi, likely referencing the anime Those Who Hunt Elves, Casper the Movie tie-in game, Haruka Sensen vs. Force, which translates to Distant Battlefront vs. Force, Everblue and My Dream on Air, Gauma Tenakute, and finally, Stake Winner 2. The page also features an image of a stylized female character wearing a cap with Gracias Air Force and a star emblem, holding batons, possibly representing a character from one of these games, or just a mascot for the magazine section. This page highlights the upcoming SEGA Saturn game Galactic Attack, also known as Layer Section 2. It's being touted as a new release title, and is currently at 30% completion. This is positioned as the newest entry in a popular shooting game series, revitalized for the Saturn platform, building on the arcade version experience. The screenshots showcase the 3D shooting gameplay, offering a tilted, top-down perspective where you'll be engaging enemies in city environments. The gameplay mechanics are described as centered around lock-on lasers and standard shots, with power-ups to collect and the ability to increase your lock-on capacity. A significant feature emphasized for the Saturn version is the inclusion of original, full polygon movies to enhance the story, integrated throughout the game, From the opening to stage-clear sequences, we get a glimpse of the characters, pilots of the Argray mecha, including a white-haired man with a determined look and a mysterious woman. One of the screenshots even depicts the Yargray one launching from a catapult, hinting at cinematic story moments within the game. Essentially, this page is building excitement for Galactic Attack on Saturn as a visually and narratively richer shooting experience compared to its arcade counterpart. This page delves into the upcoming SEGA Saturn title, Virus, a game being touted as a massive project and a hybrid adventure. It's a collaborative effort between Hudson, SEGA, and a third company, AI Bex, aiming to deliver something truly unique within the adventure game genre. The page emphasizes the hybrid aspect, highlighting the fusion of animation and real-time CG graphics. The developers are aiming for a smooth blend of these visual styles to create immersive and engaging gameplay, promising a fresh and exciting visual experience unlike anything seen before. They state that this hybrid visual approach will enhance the sense of realism and immersion, something previously difficult to achieve. The game is currently 70% complete and is slated for a summer release. Screenshots showcase scenes that appear to blend anime-style characters with detailed CG backgrounds. The article mentions the gameplay will be based on standard adventure game commands, with familiar actions like look, take, and talk, presented in a user-friendly interface. They are aiming for intuitive controls that allow players to easily navigate the game world and interact with the story. The page also hints at a deep and engaging narrative, promising a compelling adventure experience. In the 22nd century, where virtual and real worlds merge, the story of Virus unfolds, centered around impossible cases in cyberspace. The narrative follows Sarge, a direct investigator at STAND, the cybercrime unit, as he confronts a deadly virus. Key characters include Sherry, a former victim now assisting STAND, Dr. McNorton, a notorious cybercriminal, and Donna, an enigmatic figure. Colonel Gary, of the Fire Dragon Department, aids the investigation. STAN's team includes the emotionless leader Scow, idealistic researcher Ash, the competitive Smiley, Sarge's partner Erica, and the AI operator Melody. President Zweinel, tied to McNorton and the Net OS, is drawn into the investigation. The story teases a hard-boiled adventure with deadly battles as Sarge uncovers the truth behind the virus. This page is all about the SEGA Saturn shooting game Xianryu, which is also known internationally as Strikers 1945-2. It's being touted as a hardcore shooting experience that's easy to pick up and play, relying on item collection for power-ups. The game focuses on shot and bomb as your main attack options. The page details the weapon system, explaining that there are 3 variations for both shots and bombs. These change depending on the color of the item you collect: red, green, or yellow, which give you Vulcan, laser, and missile-type weapons respectively. Picking up P items further powers you up. Screenshots showcase the different weapon types in action. The standard Vulcan is described as balanced, the laser pierces through enemies, and the missile is for maximum destructive power. It also mentions that the game features impressive opening and in-game cutscenes rendered in CG, adding to the overall experience. The reviewer seems to be emphasizing the game's straightforward but engaging shooting action, and the variety offered by the different weapon types. This page showcases 2 upcoming SEGA Saturn titles. First up is Sound Novel Tool 2, a program that lets you create your own sound novels, even if you don't know any programming. It's presented as an accessible way to make interactive stories by combining text, backgrounds, music, and sound effects. You structure your narrative using a card system, arranging visual and story elements. The page emphasizes the creative freedom it offers, asking, what kind of story will you create? It looks like a user-friendly tool for aspiring game creators. The second game is AI Go Saturn Edition, a Go game boasting a powerful AI. It claims to be suitable for everyone from beginners to experienced Go players. They highlight the game's AI strength, hint functions, and customizable difficulty levels across 4 stages. You can play against the computer or another person, and it even lets you undo moves and return to earlier states in the game, useful for practice. The game offers different board sizes too, including 9, 13, and 19 lines, catering to various player preferences and learning levels. The screenshots show in-game boards and interface elements, emphasizing the game's usability and clear display. This guide offers a beginner's introduction to Command and Conquer on the SEGA Saturn. Players are prompted to choose between GDI and NOD in this real-time strategy game. The guide explains the game screen, including the construction yard, sidebar, and action cursor. It then breaks down the first GDI mission. Total annihilation is the goal, detailing 3 steps: start, wait for reinforcements, and search for remaining enemies. The Saturn version is advertised as a perfect recreation of the PC game with minimal loading times. The guide aims to assist newcomers in understanding the game's mechanics and strategy. It's a starting point for conquering the 5 available missions on the Saturn version, released on April 25th for 6,800 yen. This page continues the Command and Conquer guide, showcasing further missions for both GDI and NOD factions. For GDI Mission 2, the objectives are focused on repairing barracks and developing your base. It highlights repairing damaged barracks as a priority, and then expanding the base by building structures like power plants and Tiberium refineries. Moving on to GDI Mission 3, the focus shifts to expanding your base even further and destroying target buildings. It emphasizes expanding the base size and using around 20 units for operations. A key tip mentions the effectiveness of using leader units in this mission for scouting and ensuring building safety during construction. Then we move to the NOD missions, under the title Private Desire for Fighting Fierce Secret Society. NOD Mission 1 is about waiting for reinforcements and then achieving mission clearance, with all units moving out. NOD Mission 2 involves building a base, harvesting Tiberium, and ultimately destroying the enemy base. The guide stresses the importance of base expansion and Tiberium collection for resource management. Finally, there's a section showcasing the complete screen, which displays mission results and a world map, indicating progress through the game. This page introduces the upcoming simulation game Narrated, which is currently 95% complete. The developers mention it's in the middle of development, focusing on strategic battles where character development and unit types are crucial. They highlight the importance of nurturing characters to become ace pilots. This preview focuses on Scenario 6, Bazard Rescue Operation. The mission objective is to rescue the ship named Bazard. The game advises players to focus on destroying enemies while also ensuring the Bazard's rescue. The page provides gameplay advice split into 3 key points. Firstly, be prepared to face 3 enemy units right from the start of the mission. Secondly, investigate suspicious flying objects appearing on the map, as they might trigger events. Finally, be cautious of enemies attacking from above, emphasizing the need to constantly check the map for threats and secure the high ground. The guide suggests carefully observing the shape of the Bazard to correctly identify and rescue it, hinting at a possible visual recognition element within the mission. In the Rainer Liberation Battle of Narrated, players must liberate Rainer Star by destroying 3 enemy Manticore bases. 3 key tactics are presented. Prioritize base destruction based on surrounding enemy strength. Build a balanced force with strong recovery and experience management, and strategically utilize retreat to regroup. Further tactical advice includes anticipating enemy attacks along arrow-indicated routes, following designated routes efficiently using space currents, and targeting the triangle-marked Manticore bases, recognizing their strength and the surrounding enemies. Survival is emphasized, urging a calculated approach. Players should bait enemies, strategically use allied units, and focus fire. Retreat and regroup when outnumbered, making calculated risk assessments. Finally, the scenario introduces the Thought Battleship, a submarine-type unit with laser attacks, crucial for success in this scenario. This page presents a character pinup feature for Nanero Dreams, a romance-adventure game coming to SEGA Saturn. It highlights a character named Ozaki Kumiko, described as a typical girl you'd find in Rainbow Town. The text mentions she's depicted in various everyday situations within Rainbow Town, and that 1 in 100,000 people would consider her beautiful. The game's story and character are said to be somewhat like older romance games, but with a fresh feel. The developer commentary mentions they aimed for a light-hearted, comical tone, especially in scenarios, and how they focused on making the scenarios interesting rather than overly dramatic. The page showcases Ozaki Kumiko in different outfits: swimsuit, yukata, jersey, and casual wear. A screenshot from the game is shown, depicting a conversation scene in a stock trading context, suggesting a blend of romance and everyday life within the game. The developers seem to be aiming for a relatable and enjoyable experience, emphasizing the character's charm and the game's lighthearted approach to romance. This page continues the feature on Ozaki Kumiko from Nanero Dreams. We see more of her in different situations, including wearing casual clothes, a hat, and even posing with a dog. It mentions everyday wear and profile view, showcasing different angles of her design. There are also screenshots from the game showing quiz elements, with titles like, "Really a quiz game?" and "Problem Corner, Score X2 Answer is Obvious." These screenshots show in-game scenarios and conversations, possibly highlighting different gameplay aspects. Finally, there's a section titled, "Next Target, Planned, Is," introducing two more characters, Fujikura Tuko and Sakuraba Emi, alongside the message, "Waiting for you," with a heart. This seems to be teasing upcoming character features or reveals for Nanero Dreams. The next page spotlights the game Make It Pawn, a puzzle game where you can design your own puzzle stages. It features an interview from the recording studio with voice actress Yuko Miyamura, who is the voice of the game's cute navigation character, Elfa. The interview discusses her thoughts on voicing Elfa, noting how charming and well-suited to her voice the character is. They also talk about game terminology, specifically the pronunciation of key config in Japanese. Miyamura mentions she was directed to voice Elfa as an energetic girl, but she tried to slightly restrain it as Elfa is a guide character and not meant to be overly assertive. She shares her gaming background, mentioning she plays games and enjoys titles like Mario and even games on Saturn, PlayStation, and Nintendo 64, and more recently, an Evangelion game. The game is stated to be at 60% completion, and the bottom section mentions they recorded 120 types of sample voices for Elfa, highlighting the effort put into her voice acting. The producer is named as Husanro Kanazawa. This page continues to highlight Make It Pawn, a puzzle game where you can create your own levels. It emphasizes that Elfa, the navigation character voiced by Yuko Miyamura, kindly guides players through the game. The page details how Make It Pawn allows you to easily create puzzle games. Acting as a falling game designer, it showcases in-game screenshots of puzzle creation and customization menus, emphasizing the variety of blocks and options available. Yuko Miyamura is featured again, with an interview section discussing her thoughts on game design. She mentions enjoying adventure games, but finds puzzle games like Puyo Puyo and Tetris particularly captivating, especially the satisfaction of clearing levels. She expresses a fondness for puzzle games, where monkeys or apes fall, hinting at a specific type of puzzle game she enjoys. She humorously mentions her desire to create such a Saru, monkey-ape, falling puzzle game herself. Her profile introduces Yuko Miyamura as born in December 1972 in Hyogo Prefecture, and notes her voice acting roles in popular anime like Evangelion and Merrick: A Truth of the World, and her radio work. It mentions her various activities and recent projects, including voice work for the game Elfa, where she voices over 100 lines. Finally, there's a section about a giveaway for autographed color artwork signed by Yuko Miyamura for readers, mentioning details on how to enter. This page dives into The Unsolved, a hyper-science adventure game for the SEGA Saturn. The game centers around investigating a bizarre murder case, offering a branching storyline that changes based on player choices. The reviewer highlights the game's deep scenario, comparing its volume to a full TV drama series, and emphasizes that the truth will only be revealed at the very end. They pose the question, can you reach the truth? The page details the investigation process, mentioning that the player will be questioning characters like Ted Boone to uncover connections to the mystery. It seems there are multiple lines of inquiry, such as the EB and the incident relation, and Red Royal Stone and the incident relation, suggesting different angles to explore in the investigation. The article shows in-game screenshots depicting dialogue scenes and investigation elements. The interface highlights objectives such as Nabarm's grudge, Nabarm's death, and target to investigate, indicating a structured approach to solving the case. The game seems to involve analyzing clues and making deductions to progress the story and uncover the truth behind the Ted Boone incident. The reviewer seems intrigued by the game's complex narrative and the player's role in shaping the outcome. This page highlights two upcoming games and a continuation of a previous title. Psychic Detective Series Volume 4, Orgil no Kane ga Naru Yoru ni, is a character-driven adventure game with quirky characters and a strong emphasis on dialogue and a cinematic narrative. Black/Matrix is an RPG focused on uncovering a large-scale conspiracy with a mature tone and mysterious themes. The page also revisits The Unsolved, discussing mysterious incidents like cattle mutilation and UFOs, tied to the previous Ted Boone incident. This section hints at investigative gameplay and a potential narrative connection between Psychic Detective Series Volume 4 and The Unsolved, which is nearing release. This page is all about civilization, giving players a guide on how to build a thriving civilization. It's presented as a strategy tip page divided into two main sections: creating a city and developing a city. The first part focuses on choosing the best location for your first city, pointing out that being near water like rivers or the sea and having special resources nearby is ideal. It also advises against starting too close to other cities. The Developing a City section explains the game's core mechanics, like keeping citizens happy, producing different resources, and building structures. It details citizen types, where general citizens produce goods, and specialists like entertainers, scientists, and tax collectors offer specific bonuses. Resource management is key, with food, resources, and trade all playing vital roles in city growth and production. The page includes screenshots showing city building and the game's world map. At the bottom, there are comments from the game developers and the magazine editor. The developer admits to still figuring out the best strategies, highlighting the game's depth and complexity. The editor echoes this, sharing their struggles and recommending readers use this article as a guide. Finally, the page gives the release date and price for Civilization. This section of the Civilization Guide details the core gameplay mechanics of the game. It covers unit types, including military, soldiers, naval, and diplomats, economic, caravans, settlers, workers, and their respective roles. It then moves on to buildings, categorizing them into essential structures like granaries and barracks, and the more impactful 7 wonders. Crucially, the guide highlights the central role of technology. Players must research and develop new technologies to unlock advanced units, buildings, and abilities. A tech tree is presented, illustrating how technologies like alphabet lead to advancements in areas like trade and medicine. The section emphasizes that technological advancement is vital for a civilization's progress, shown with examples of city layouts and interface screenshots. This page is dedicated to the SEGA Saturn game Elf Wokaru Monotachi, also known internationally as Those Who Hunt Elves. It's highlighted as Chapter 3, titled Terror, the Greatest Spell in History. This adventure game, based on the popular anime, follows 3 individuals and a dog on a quest to find a source incantation to return to their original world after being transported to a fantasy realm. The page teases 2 key mysteries. What kind of dog is Pochi? And what is the greatest spell in history? We see screenshots hinting at in-game scenarios and character interactions, including the appearance of a character named Annette. The wanted posters showcase the main characters Yunpei, Airi, Ritsuko, and Pochi the dog, giving brief descriptions of each. The game is described as a command-based adventure, releasing on April 25th, and is aimed at both fans of the anime and newcomers to the series, promising an engaging story with beautiful visuals. Chapters 4 and 5 of Those Who Hunt Elves are explored. Chapter 4, Terror, Caught in a Flower Garden, features a mansion investigation amidst a rainstorm, uncovering secrets and encountering Mandragora elves, cute but deadly creatures. Chapter 5, Counterattack, You Guys Have No Tomorrow, intensifies the plot, with elves running wild, major crises, and battles against formidable foes. The release includes a bonus CD. This CD features voice actor talk with cast commentary, setting data with design materials, voicemail messages from the characters, and a story preview. This page is all about the SEGA Saturn game Casper, based on the movie. It seems to be a puzzle adventure game. The page highlights that someone has achieved 100% completion, praising the game as being both very broad and deep, with well-hidden routes. The manufacturer even jokes about mischievous ghosts, urging players to enjoy the ghost hunt with Casper. The main focus here is on finding presents for Professor and Cat. The page reveals that after gaining Casper's ability to transform into smoke, players will need to find presents for these characters. The hints suggest the Professor is in the library and appreciates books, while Cat is in the garden and likes flowers, specifically roses. There's also a section called Act 2, Assemble the Lazarus, which seems to be a puzzle in the game, where you need to arrange pieces to complete a picture, and it mentions finding balls as a reward. Puzzle-solving advice is offered, indicating that the game involves using Casper's smoke ability to pass through small holes in walls. It also mentions switches being important, but not all of them should be pressed, hinting at puzzle complexity. Finally, there's a section explaining how to use a bucket. It seems you find a bucket in Act 1, and in Act 2, you can use it to put out fires by approaching a fireplace and using the bucket to extinguish the flames. After putting out the fire with the bucket, items will appear in the fireplace. This page is showcasing the SEGA Saturn game Harukaze Sentai V-Force, which is highlighted as being heavy on anime style and quality. The game boasts impressive animation, even comparable to OVA's, making it visually appealing. The main characters are introduced as the three Aoi sisters, Katsuki, Natsuki, and Mitsuki. The page also emphasizes the simulation aspect of the game. It's described as a stage-clearing simulation, where controls are simple, but tactical depth is present. Battle scenes are also animated, further adding to the anime feel. Screenshots reveal equipment customization, where players can modify their units with different weapons and loadouts, adding a strategic element to the battles. Another section showcases option customization, suggesting items with unique abilities can be used. The game is advertised as coming soon and is stated to be 99% complete, hinting at an imminent release. It's mentioned as a simulation game available on Crydrum 3 discs, with a special package, including a jigsaw puzzle and video. This page introduces the SEGA Saturn game Eberouge, a training simulation set in the Trifle Magic Academy. The game focuses on developing relationships with beautiful girls over 2 arcs, childhood and puberty, spanning a total of 5 years of adolescence. You play as a student, navigating love, friendship, and self-improvement. The page highlights 4 key characters you'll encounter during the puberty arc: Helen Nefertiti, Thoralds Guntram, Muller Vianten, and Marine Laisling. Each character profile provides details like birthplace, birthday, blood type, star sign, height, weight, bust waist hip measurements, and club affiliation. The reviewer excitedly notes the characters have developed nice bodies and expresses anticipation for players to meet them, encouraging excitement and anticipation for the game. Eberouge is stated to be 99% complete and is a training simulation game by Takara, slated for release in early May for 6,800 yen. It mentions Parig Ramraz and an older sister character, suggesting further story elements or characters within the game. Stakes Winner 2 for SEGA Saturn, a coming soon title, offers 2 game modes, Arcade and Original. Arcade mode replicates the arcade experience, letting players choose from 12 horses and compete in G1 races on JRA-style courses. Winning requires strategic use of horse stats and finishing in the top 3 to continue. Original mode expands the experience, giving players 1.5 million yen to buy and train horses. This mode emphasizes breeding, pedigree, and training to develop the ultimate racehorse, with advice from trainers. Gameplay involves horse selection, race strategies, and item usage. Players can use items like lightweights and aero parts to boost performance. Race techniques like Kari Shiras, horse kick, and break are critical for victory. Screenshots showcase horse selection, stats, and item details, enhancing the immersive horse racing experience. This page introduces My Dream, a voice actor idol-raising simulation game for SEGA Saturn. You take on the role of a magazine journalist, tasked with nurturing a chosen voice talent to stardom. The game emphasizes the dedication required to become a successful voice actor, stating it's not just about liking it, but truly loving it. Gameplay involves managing your voice talent's schedule, including part-time jobs to make ends meet, lessons to improve skills, and building relationships through phone calls and interactions. Screenshots show in-game menus, with options for training and communication, and even a schedule planner. A key feature highlighted is Voice Idol, which incorporates elements of real voice actor interviews and experiences into the game. The page also features a progress indicator showing 50% completion, suggesting a goal-oriented gameplay structure. The reviewer's comments praise the depth of the voice actor training aspect, acknowledging the realistic portrayal of the challenges and dedication required in the voice acting profession. My Dream is slated for a summer release in 1997 and is described as a simulation game suitable for all ages. This page dives into a discussion with Oshima Iminzaburo, a prominent figure at SEGA, about the direction of the game business from a distribution perspective. The interview is conducted by Toru Takeda, a journalist specializing in the games industry. Oshima boldly declares Sega's leading role in the game business, emphasizing innovative strategies beyond simple marketing. He critiques the conventional approach of distribution, stating that Sega is aiming for a game business revolution and moving away from outdated distribution policies. The conversation touches upon various aspects of the game business, including the dynamics between game and record sales, CD pricing strategies, and the intense competition, particularly with Nintendo. Oshima stresses the importance of user satisfaction and how Sega aims to genuinely connect with gamers' needs, indicating that Sega is not just aiming to chase profits, but to cultivate a strong user base who truly desire Sega's offerings. He talks about Sega's strategy to offer compelling experiences that players actively seek out, rather than just pushing products onto the market. While not explicitly mentioned by name, the context suggests the discussion revolves around the Sega Saturn era, with hints towards future strategies and a possible mention of games like Sonic Adventure and Virtua Fighter in the broader context of Sega's business approach. The interview paints a picture of Sega at a critical juncture, actively re-evaluating its approach to distribution and aiming for a more user-centric and innovative future in the game industry. This page introduces the Sega Saturn Soft Complete Guide, which seems to be a recurring section or feature in the magazine. It's presented with a fiery and energetic visual style, featuring a cool 3D rendered character who looks like he's ready for action. The text on the page emphasizes that this guide is for deeply exploring Sega Saturn software after its release. The page also highlights specific games that will be covered in this guide section, listing titles like Mobile Suit Gundam Side Story, The Blue Destiny, Quo Vadis 2 Planet of the Heavens, Assaulted Ovan Ray, King of the Spirits 2, and Sky Target. It looks like this guide will offer detailed information and strategies for these games, aiming to provide players with in-depth coverage to master their Sega Saturn experiences. The page promotes itself as a thorough guide for Sega Saturn owners to get the most out of their software library. This guide provides essential strategies for Mobile Suit Z Gundam, Kuhen. Key basics include locking onto enemies with a continuous attacks, and guarding to negate damage. Maintaining a fixed direction is crucial for both offense and defense. Space battle tactics involve preemptive strikes, quick reactions to rear attacks, and strategic beam saber usage, positioning the saber above enemies and overlapping hits. In close combat, approach enemies from the side for melee attacks. Ground battles demand constant forward movement due to limited space, with aggressive advances and beam saber usage. Be prepared for enemies appearing from multiple directions. Professional tips cover armor recharging, except while guarding, gauge consumption for jump-related actions, avoiding continuous use, and the inefficiency of using gauge power for lock-on on multiple attack lines. The guide focuses on core mechanics and tactical approaches for both battle types. This guide provides strategies for boss battles in Mobile Suit Z Gundam, Kuhen. Stage 1 against the Gundam Mk2 emphasizes backdashes to evade punches and forward dashes for space. Stage 2, the Hyzak, focuses on countering tackles by dashing downwards and exploiting heat hawks. Learn Hyzak's patterns and utilize rifle/saber attacks. When it fires machine guns at the bottom, find a safe spot below and counter. Stage 3, the Galbaldi Beta, requires navigating varied line movement attacks, suggesting dashing for horizontal slides and quick reflexes for back-to-front attacks. New choir-type attacks are recommended counters. Unexpected situations involve observing saber stances and utilizing saber attacks offensively. A date file reveals level-based performance improvements for the Gundam Mk2, including increased energy, armor, lock-on capabilities, and weapon charge speed, detailed by frame and memory block usage for various weapons. Stage 4 of the Mobile Suit Z Gundam, Kuhen Boss Guide focuses on the Masala and Marasai. The Masala in Stage 41 is vulnerable, predict its linear movements, and evade its beam saber attacks. When it transforms, maintain distance and use rifle fire, aiming for 2 well-timed shots. Watch for off-screen appearances, as they signal a line attack. Stage 42 pits you against the Marasai. Position yourself at the screen's top, and utilize the bazooka, aiming for 2 hits. Focus on eliminating 1 Marasai at a time. The guide also introduces player support units, triggered by earning experience points from defeated enemies. Different units, like Rick Dias and Hayaku Shiki, become available at higher experience levels, with the specific triggers varying per stage. The table outlines the levels and stages where these support units appear. This page continues the Mobile Suit Z Gundam. Kuhin Boss Guide. Now covering stages 5, 68, and 7. Stage 5 is against the Marasai. The guide advises using shields effectively, predicting the Marasai's movements, and utilizing beam rifles. It emphasizes learning the timing of enemy attacks and using shield guards to minimize damage. Stages 6 through 8 feature the Ashamar. The key to defeating the Ashamar is understanding its high mobility and powerful beam rifle. The guide recommends focusing on avoiding its attacks and knowing when to counter. It mentions the Ashamar's MAF form and linear movements, suggesting players should move perpendicularly to evade attacks and use lock-on to counter. Close-range attacks are described as risky but potentially high damage. The guide also highlights the effectiveness of vertical slashes against the Ashamar. Stage 7 is against the Gaplant, noting its high firepower and elevated position. The strategy is to take advantage of its predictable movements and utilize beam sabers for close combat, and move in a line to evade attacks when it transforms into mecha forms. It suggests focusing fire and ending the battle quickly, emphasizing the importance of energy management in this fight, and suggests using bazookas and energy refills to finish the fight quicker, especially in later stages. This page continues the boss strategy guide, and now we're looking at stages 91, 92, and stage 10. First up is stage 91 to 93 against the Psycho Gundam. The core strategy here is to get in close and exploit the Psycho Gundam's blind spots. Start by hitting it with a bazooka right away. Then focus on dodging its punches and attacking with melee combos when you see an opening. Make sure to use your Nooper type attacks whenever they are available. The guide mentions the dead spot is above its head. Stage 92 pits you against the Marine Hyzak team. The advice here is to concentrate fire and reduce their numbers quickly. Use your rifle and Nooper type attacks to take them down one by one. They suggest focusing fire to quickly thin out the enemy ranks. Finally, stage 10 is against the Gabethli. The Gabethli is said to have strong claw attacks, but is weak to saber attacks, especially in close combat. The key is to predict its movements and dodge its claw attacks, then counter with your saber when you get in close. If you're at a distance, use the rifle here. They also point out that the claw attack can be dodged with a dash, so use that to your advantage and get in close for saber attacks. This page is all about getting a rank in Assault Suit Lanos 2. It explains that after you've completed all the missions, the next big challenge is to achieve a rank overall. The game calculates your score based on your performance in each mission, taking into account things like mission success, how many enemies you destroyed, and even penalties for damaging friendly units. Your clear time also plays a role in your score, with faster times earning more points. There are tables showing you exactly how points are awarded for different actions and clear times, and another table shows the point ranges for each rank from A down to E. The page highlights that achieving a rank across your entire campaign unlocks a cool hidden feature. If you manage to get that a rank, the game's title screen will change to gold as proof, and you'll unlock special CG movies to watch. There's also a movie playback feature on the second disc of the game that lets you re-watch these movies, and by doing well, you can unlock and view all of the CG movies as a reward for your skill. It's presented as a really neat hidden bonus for dedicated players who strive for top marks. This page dives into the weapon data for Assault Suit Lanos 2, or Quo Vadis 2, as it was known in Japan. The article talks about how choosing the right weapons is crucial and part of the deep strategy in the game. It emphasizes that there are over 100 weapons, all carefully balanced for different situations and playstyles, and that mastering weapon selection is key to succeeding in missions. There's a section explaining how to understand the weapon stats tables provided. It breaks down each column like ammo, which is the number of shots, interval for firing rate, damage, accuracy, longest and shortest range, weight, special effects, and compatible mecha. The page then presents detailed weapon data tables for different categories: close combat weapons, sniper rifles, shotguns, and bazookas. Each weapon is listed with all its stats. Following this, there's a table dedicated to special equipment, which lists items like smoke discharger, starmine shell, and armor plate, explaining their unique effects and compatible mecha. It's a comprehensive guide to understanding the arsenal in Assault Suit Lanos 2, designed to help players optimize their loadouts and weapon choices for maximum effectiveness. There's even a small screenshot showing the game's interface during combat. This page continues the deep dive into weapon data for Assault Suit Lanos 2. It's still all about equipping your mech for optimal combat effectiveness, focusing on different weapon types beyond what was covered previously. Here, we have tables detailing stats for submachine guns, SMG, assault rifles, ASR, rocket launchers, RCT, and rail cannons, CNN. For each weapon in these categories, the tables list stats like ammo capacity, damage, accuracy, range, weight, special effects, and compatible mecha. Looking through the tables, you can see a variety of weapons within each type, like different models of submachine guns, LB-22, LB-32, GB-39, various assault rifle types including heat and AP versions, rocket launchers, and different rail cannons like the LB-21 and LB-33 series. It's clear there's a wide range of choices catering to different combat scenarios and mech loadout strategies in Assault Suit Laynos 2. This page continues the detailed weapon breakdown for Assault Suit Laynos 2, focusing on beam cannons, laser cannons, and missile types. First up are beam cannons, BCN, which includes various models like the E7 per gram beam launcher and XX1 per gram beam BAZ, offering different ammo counts, damage, and ranges. Next are laser cannons, LCN, with the SLX series. Notably, they all have unlimited ammo and varying damage and range. Moving on to missiles, we see small missiles, MSS, like the M9 series, and MH and LM variations, again with different stats for damage, range, and weight. Finally, large missiles, MSL, are showcased, including the M392 Missile Fist and MILM and LM series heat missiles. These large missiles appear to offer higher damage and different characteristics, some with heat, high explosive anti-tank effects. Across all these weapon categories, you can see a diverse arsenal for customizing your mech in Assault Suit Laynos 2, with choices for beam weaponry, lasers with unlimited ammo, and a range of small and large missile options. The tables provide detailed stats to help players optimize their loadouts for different combat situations. This guide details strategies for courses B and C in King of the Spirits 2. For course B, conquer the track with these points. Brake early for the initial S-curve, memorize the course layout, master the final S-curve using side brakes and countersteering, and navigate the tunnel corner with a specific throttle and brake sequence. The Type M, Porsche, is the recommended car. Course C's tips include: go full throttle initially, master a hairpin using side brakes and drift, avoid wall contact in a series of R corners, and be cautious of the mansion corner's sudden turn. The Type AO, Nissan 300ZX, is the recommended car due to its powerful performance. This guide provides car setup recommendations for a racing game across 3 courses, A, B, and C, catering to different driving styles. Course A features high-speed corners, emphasizing stability. Course B is a medium-speed course requiring torque and precise braking. Course C is a high-speed track with hairpin turns, necessitating drifting and side brakes. The guide offers detailed tables with settings for 14 car types, including engine, steering, LSD, suspension, brakes, tires, and muffler adjustments. Examples include the Typer, Honda NSX, Types, RX-7, Type M, Porsche, and Type EO, Nissan 300ZX. The guide highlights the game's deep customization options and hidden elements, promising a rich experience beyond just racing. These settings are presented as a strong starting point for maximizing car performance on each course. This page is a complete guide for the SEGA Saturn game Sky Target, a 3D shooting game. The page is titled Sky Target Complete Guide and gives tips to conquer all 12 missions across 7 stages in arcade mode. It emphasizes player technique and reflexes are key, but reading this guide beforehand will be helpful to achieve 100% destruction rate. The guide outlines each stage from stage 1 to stage 7, with associated letters A to H indicating boss strategies. For each boss encounter there are 1-point tips. For example, for boss A in stage 1, called Combat Armed Explosive Bomber Hellbelt, the tip is to center the crosshairs and use left-right movement to lock on, targeting the engine with Vulcan after destroying the central and left-right turrets. Boss B in stage 2, All-Round Heavy Explosive Bomber Tallwall, requires destroying turrets from top to bottom while locking on and using Vulcans. Other bosses include Sea-Armed Battleship Flying Boat Ranbel, Darmored Helicopter Vashura, E Long-Distance Rocket Weapon Missile Scepter, UF armored helicopter Milsaru, G heavy armed land battleship Bernil, and H armored explosive bombing aircraft Gunnil, each with specific combat advice focused on weapon usage and weak points. A general 1-point tip mentions bonus characters appearing after Stage 4, visible on the ground and requiring lock-on to defeat for extra points, appearing in various locations each time. The guide also mentions techniques like using missiles effectively, and emphasizes the importance of evasion and lock-on in linear movements. This guide focuses on boss strategies and ranking mode tips for Sky Target. Boss strategies include Stage 5, Vashura 1. Destroy turrets, then target the hatch with missiles. Stage 6, Claymore. Dodge attacks, target robot arms. Stage 7, Tall Wall 2. Use missiles, evade. Stage 8, Bernil 2. Use both missiles and Vulcan fire. Stage 9, Brigandine. Destroy gun emplacements, then target the rotor. Ranking mode emphasizes high scores. Precise shooting, evasion, and aircraft selection are crucial. For stages with many enemies, use aircraft with high turning ability. Rafale M, F-16C. For fewer enemies, use aircraft for clear times. F-14D, F-15s. Learning enemy patterns is key to score improvement. This page is all about Super Robot Wars F from Banpresto. It's part of a series of articles to support players of this big robot battle game. The page is packed with the latest info and new system details. They're showing off screenshots of classic battles being faithfully recreated in the game, highlighting nostalgic matchups. We can see in-game shots showing characters like Jared yelling, "Super!" and Mansha shouting, "JYAAAA Ingling, Gaffa AAAA." It looks like they are emphasizing the dialogue and character interactions, which is a big part of the Super Robot Wars experience. There's also a section on recommended goods, which is promoting Tatsunoko All-Stars Figure Keyholder 2. These are keychains featuring Tatsunoko production characters, and they'll be available in arcades and convenience catchers from amusement spots in May. It mentions these aren't from Robot Wars directly, but from Banpresto as well. Finally, there's a postcard submission section called Hagaki Boshu, asking readers to send in postcards with various content like enthusiastic character support, illustrations, 4-panel comics/short stories, and questions. They're also doing a giveaway where 10 lucky people can win some kind of present. It seems like game show goods, likely not for sale normally, for collectors who are keen to get their hands on rare robot battle items. This page is diving into Langrisser IV, specifically focusing on the character Shelfaniel in the Wacky Takata Talks Langrisser IV Character Biographies segment. The developers are discussing Shelfaniel's design, mentioning that her hat is a key feature, and went through several iterations. They also touch on her personality, describing her as someone who appears innocent but has a hidden depth, and a bit of a scary side. It seems like they put a lot of thought into making her design unique and memorable, especially her hat. There's an advert for the Holy Sword Secret File, which is a photo CD filled with Langrisser character illustrations, including some drawn by Mr. Urushihara, the character designer, and even a Shelfaniel postcard. The page also announces the results of a concealed scenario contest. They were impressed with the level of entries, and mentioned that many people had similar ideas to previous winners, but they prioritized entries with detailed settings and careful construction. Winners are getting Langrisser IV-related goodies like telephone cards, posters, and even staff t-shirts. Finally, there's a section called Carrier Soft's Drawing Room, profiling a main map designer named Tamura, who is described as a female designer from Gunma Prefecture. She's known for speaking very softly on the phone and using a lot of moo-moo sounds. They share a cartoon strip about working late at night and being hungry. SNK World 97 Spring Report highlights several key announcements. SNK is excited about Real Bout Fatal Fury Special and its upcoming console ports. The spring game show showcased titles like Metal Slug, which was a huge hit, and Samurai Showdown, Warrior's Rage, nearing completion. The SNK World Live Tour in Fukuoka was a success, with attendees receiving King of Fighters 96 posters. The biggest news is the confirmation of King of Fighters 97 for Neo Geo and Credrom, with a potential Saturn version. An illustration contest is announced to celebrate. This month's KO.I focuses on Metal Slug, featuring Marco and Tarma, with a contest to win posters. The report concludes with character birthdays and a call for fan mail. This page is a character strategy guide, specifically Volume 7, for Kensu C in King of Fighters 96. It details Kensu's fighting style, highlighting his strengths as a character who excels at zoning and controlling space due to his projectile attacks. The guide breaks down Kensu's basic attack patterns and strategies, emphasizing his Super Ball bullet and crouching strong kick. It explains how to effectively use his jump strong kick as a combo starter, and how to chain moves like the Dragon Claw bullet and Ground Dragon for continuous attacks. The article offers advice on using Kensu's special moves to pressure opponents from a distance and control the flow of battle, especially against opponents who are rushing in. It also discusses tactics for dealing with an opponent's wake-up game, suggesting using jump-in attacks and cancelable special moves. The guide concludes by reinforcing the core strategy of using the Super Ball bullet to keep opponents at bay and then capitalize on openings with close-range combos, ultimately showcasing Kensu as a tricky character who thrives on controlling the pace of the fight. The upcoming GW 5th issue promises a diverse range of content. New World Conquest Company, Limited, is a humorous business simulation game focused on employee training and world domination. Ejihan returns with original minigames featuring familiar characters. Barbara Kokomi's numerology fortune-telling offers predictions. New Toru Toro Marble is a puzzle game starring Mapuru the Witch. The digital comic strip Brother explores family life, possibly with a curry theme. Fun Blackjack is a returning game with prize opportunities. The issue concludes with staff comments from Nemo, touching on various topics, including hot springs, safety prayers, and promotional items. This page reviews a diverse mix of software and media. The author ponders the nature of game versus database software, sparked by a Saturn game purchase. A section explores a magazine's fun slot machine, detailing winning patterns based on in-game eye conditions. Another segment offers fortune readings using button input in the Legend of K1 wrestling game. The GW staff column by Yasuhiro Taguchi discusses challenges in the Japanese video rental and low-budget film industries, recommending Kiyoshi Kurosawa's The Unfading Wound. The article also mentions upcoming video releases and community feedback on the magazine. This page is dedicated to exploring the branching paths in Stage 2 of the House of the Dead. It's titled, AM Research Institute. Let's analyze this, suggesting an in-depth look at the game. The article highlights how Stage 2 continues from Stage 1, taking place in a mechanical research facility with varied scenery. This week's focus is on Stage 2's branching paths, emphasizing the importance of choosing routes wisely due to enemy encounters. The page details 2 branching paths. The first branch, Stone Coffin at Your Feet, starts immediately and involves smashing a stone coffin to enter a narrow passage leading to Mapping C. It warns of many enemies in this path. The second branch, Elevator, involves taking an elevator up to the second floor using a switch and descending to the second floor, again with zombie encounters. The article suggests this path has fewer enemy encounters, but might be trickier to navigate. The page includes screenshots of gameplay from both branches, visually showcasing the different environments and enemies. A map is also featured, clearly outlining the 2 branching paths and their locations within the level. Finally, there's a small section at the bottom, mentioning scoring details for the House of the Dead, such as points for defeating enemies, hitting heads, saving researchers, and finding hidden items. Stage 2 in the House of the Dead features branching paths. Players can choose between a narrow corridor, Mapping C, by smashing a coffin, or an elevator to the second floor. The elevator path may have fewer enemies, but is harder to navigate. 7 researchers are hidden throughout the stage, but saving all may be path-dependent, with 2 in the kitchen and 1 in the lab. The Stage 2 boss is the Hanged Man, a fast-moving, bat-accompanied foe. Its weakness is its thin body and rapid movement. Players should prioritize shooting down bats, which can damage the boss upon falling. Focus shots on the Hanged Man's head, especially during attacks. The boss is designed to be challenging. Staff comments highlight scoring opportunities through defeating the boss and saving researchers, and note that a score of 180 points is achievable by defeating the bats. This page is all about celebrating Virtua Cop 2 winning the first SESA Grand Prize for shooting games. It's from AM2 Ken Volume 50 and features the team's joy at receiving the award. There are interviews with 3 key members of the Virtua Cop 2 Saturn team: team leader Masayuki Sumi, graphic designer Hidenori Miyake, and sound designer Hideaki Miyamoto. Sumi mentions that he's honored Virtua Cop 2 was chosen from many games, and thanks the users for their support, hoping they continue to enjoy their games. Miyake talks about the graphics being greatly improved compared to the previous game, and expresses his happiness that users appreciate their efforts. Miyamoto discusses the sound design, and mentions aiming to make the arcade version's exciting audio experience translate to the Saturn version, encouraging players to enjoy the powerful sound. The page also explains what the SESA Grand Prize is, highlighting that it's an award decided by user votes across various gaming platforms, and in 1996, there were 337 entries. It seems to be a prestigious award within the Japanese gaming industry, judging games from different genres. There are photos of the team celebrating with trophies, individual shots of the interviewees, and even a small photo of the awards ceremony showing the trophies, mentioning that the grand prize winner overall was Sakura Wars. This page details the Java T-Battle tournament, held at the Tokyo Game Show from April 5th to 6th. This big Virtua Fighter 3 national tournament was a major event with a huge crowd. It seems there were long queues just to get in, showing how popular SEGA Saturn and Virtua Fighter were. The event even had its own theme song, which sounds pretty catchy, and was distributed on CD. Moving on, there's an advertisement for the Maximum Battle Virtua Fighter 3 video, slated for release on April 28th. This video seems to be a recording of the previous tournament finals, showcasing top-level play and interviews with famous players like Nogi, Jeffrey, and Kiasha, offering a deep dive into Virtua Fighter 3 strategies. The page also includes the AM2 Research and Information Bureau section, this time featuring Yume, an AM2 networker. He talks about Virtua Surf, mentioning that development is going smoothly and they are looking for ideas from players. There's a queue in a section where users ask questions. One user asks about VF3 character goods, and mentions they handle merchandise, including mousepads, jackets, and CD cases. Another user inquires about the difficulty level of Virtua Surf. Responds that it's designed to be enjoyed by everyone. There's also a postcard campaign where winners can get a special t-shirt. It looks like AM2 is really engaging with the community and listening to player feedback. This page dives into the world of Top Skater, a skateboarding game from SEGA AM3 Research. Its build is powerful, and the article is all about showcasing the game's tricks. The game is described as a skateboard-based arcade title running on the Model 2 board and scheduled for release around April. The main focus of the page is breaking down the tricks into 6 core categories. These are forward rotation, F/techniques, back rotation, B/techniques, method techniques, slide techniques, 3D techniques, and grab techniques. For each category, the magazine highlights specific tricks with screenshots from the game and point values. Examples of forward rotation tricks mentioned are the triple front loop and front loop to Indy. Back rotation examples include triple back loop and back loop to method. Method techniques feature tricks like the BS 540 method and F/1080 tail grab. Sliding tricks are demonstrated with the BS Smith and F/nose slide. The 3D techniques section shows BS Misty 720 to method and double Sifty to BS 180. And finally, grab techniques include Indy to nose grab and triple grab beta. The page serves as a trick guide, giving players an early look at the different types of maneuvers they can pull off in Top Skater. This page from SEGA Saturn Magazine shines a spotlight on Top Skater and its cast of 6 playable characters, each boasting their own signature tricks. Continuing from the previous page that categorized tricks, this one dives into character-specific moves, highlighting 2 unique techniques for each skater and asking readers which character they'll choose. For Ash, we see his 1-foot trick, described as a fundamental, though not flashy, move, focusing on natural footwork, and the double kickflip, emphasizing the core skateboarding skill of board rotation. Kenta's unique moves are the inward heel flip, a technical and character-defining small trick, and the airwalk, a visually striking and original move imitating walking in the air. Keith showcases the no comply, an ollie-like jump using the front foot off the board, and the Bemihana, described as an extremely difficult aerial tail grab. Character J presents high-difficulty tricks with the FS 180 double grab, grabbing the board with both hands while rotating 180 degrees, and the nose and tail grab Shifty, questioning which of these more technical tricks is better. Jill's repertoire includes the hand flip, a skillful 180-degree board rotation with one hand, and the fundamental nose bone grab. Lastly, Cookie's unique move is the finger flip, a body-centric trick involving flipping the board with a finger. The page offers a glimpse into the distinct playstyles offered by each character in Top Skater. This page dives into the AM3 Research Figure Lover Club, and it seems to be a fun discussion with Iron Man modeler Ozaki and business designer Arai, who are apparently going to a toy show. The big question is, why figures now? And it looks like they are exploring the current figure craze, especially in relation to Sega AM3 titles. The article mentions figures being featured in magazines like Mono, and how stylish figures like Evangelion are popular. They also touch on the robo-themed figures like Virtual On, and how these are also getting attention. There's talk about 97 Toy Show, and how figures are being exhibited, and even a comment about raw skin being bad for figures, which is funny. The games specifically mentioned are Virtual On, Mars Attack, Star Wars, and Spoon, alongside Evangelion, which is a big name. We see pictures of Ozaki and Arai with some cool figures, including a Mars Attacks Martian and a woman in costume. There are also shots of Evangelion figures and Virtual On figures on display. It seems like they are discussing the appeal of figures and how they connect with games and popular culture, especially in the context of Sega AM3 games. They're definitely into action figures and the figure boom, and are probably looking at how these tie into classic games and new trends. The next page shifts the focus to Bishujo figures, or beautiful girl figures, asking, what's happening with them? It mentions that while the theme of the corner is robots, they can't ignore the current boom in Bishujo figures. The article talks about figures like Rikichan and CG Rikichan being popular, suggesting they are embracing the trend of cute, girl-style figures, especially those rendered in CG. The article mentions that at events like Wonder Festival, amateur garage kits created by fans are very popular and displayed. It also highlights that at Sega booths, variations of Ayanami and other figures are shown. Game-wise, it mentions that related to Evangelion, the Sakura Wars boom is noteworthy, suggesting Sakura Wars figures are also gaining popularity. It specifically mentions Sega's booth, displaying figures of Sakura Shinguji and Iris Chateaubriand from Sakura Wars as examples of these beautiful girl figures. The article notes that in the Red Hot booth, figures are selling quickly, and points out that Sega is definitely seeing the trend of Bishujo figures. This page in Around the Digiana World introduces us to the fascinating world of Russian-made cameras and the lomography movement. It seems these compact Russian cameras are causing quite a stir on the internet. The article highlights how young people, especially in Japan, are drawn to digital cameras, but there's a growing interest in these simple analog cameras, reminiscent of point-and-shoot types. Lomo cameras are praised for their unique photographic style, producing images with a pinhole camera-like effect and colors similar to Polaroid photos. They even mention a specific model, the Lomo Compact Automat. The piece goes on to talk about the Lomo Society, noting its impressive growth, gaining 1,000 new members monthly, bringing the total to over 15,000. The society organizes events like tours to places like Vietnam, Moscow, and New York for photography trips, and holds photo exhibitions. They even have a website and offer starter kits, including a Lomo camera and special Lomo film for around $140. The article emphasizes the appeal of Lomo photography as an artistic expression and mentions the Lomography website as a hub for enthusiasts. It seems to be a thriving community celebrating the unique and somewhat quirky charm of these Russian cameras. SEGA Saturn Magazine's soft review section, April 26 to May 2, focuses on adventure games. Mobile Battleship Nadesico receives mixed reviews. The Lady Users Group gives it a 6.66/10, praising its romance-focused story. Game Mania Group, High Rollers, rates it a 6/10, finding the gameplay repetitive, while acknowledging its appeal to fans. The Guest Game Writer awards a 7/10, highlighting its depth and presentation. The Unsolved also gets coverage. The Lady Users Group gives it a 7.66/10, highlighting its suspenseful mystery gameplay. Game Mania Group rates it an 8/10, comparing it to an X-Files-esque mystery. The Guest Game Writer scores it a 7/10, recommending it for mature players. The reviews offer diverse perspectives, emphasizing narrative and mystery elements within the featured adventure games. This game review compilation covers a variety of genres beyond adventure games. Deka 4Ku Tough the Truck, a 4x4 racing game, received mixed reviews, ranging from a 7/10 for its enjoyable freedom to a 4/10 for its simplicity and visuals. Desuji Aqua World, an aquatic-themed jigsaw puzzle game, and Desuji Tin Toy, a tin toy-themed puzzle game, both received generally positive feedback, with scores hovering around 6/10 and 7/10 for their relaxing gameplay and value. A confusingly titled review, High Lollers, gave a racing game a harsh 4/10 due to poor visibility and frustrating gameplay. Another racing game received a 5/10, deemed reminiscent of a detective drama. Shorter reviews highlighted the cost-effectiveness and eye-friendly aspects of puzzle games, along with a critical view on the value of in-game jigsaw puzzles compared to physical ones, with scores varying between 5/10 and 7/10. This page features a range of game reviews and peripheral checks. Kicking off with Funky Head Boxers Plus, a boxing game, the reviews are varied. The female user section thinks it's enjoyable but button-mashy, and wants more strategy. High rollers find the camera angles and controls frustrating, saying it's hard to see the opponent, though they appreciate the button-based control. Guest writers think the game is mostly unchanged from its predecessor, and while the responsiveness is improved, they wish for more impactful sound effects and varied backgrounds. Despite mixed feelings, all these short takes give it a score of 5 out of 10. Moving on to Stake Swimmer 2, Strongest Horse Racing Legend. This horse racing simulation receives a 6.33 out of 10, deemed difficult. Reviewers praise the freedom and strategic depth in raising horses and racing, but note the difficulty. They highlight the realistic portrayal of horse racing, with various items and commands to utilize. They feel overseas versions might offer different horse data. Lastly, in the new software and peripheral machine check section, Free Talk Studio. Mari's Carefree Chat is introduced as a media entertainment ADV game where you enjoy radio-style chatting with various personalities. Sankyo FF is reviewed as a pachinko controller peripheral, scoring an 8 out of 10. Reviewers appreciate its realistic handle operation and space for pachinko balls, making home pachinko playing more immersive, though some found the handle a bit heavy and wished for better stability on the table. This page is a new software release schedule, showing upcoming games for release. It starts with a guide on how to read the page, explaining the genre abbreviations, which include action, RPG, simulation, shooting, adventure, sports, racing, puzzle, table games, quiz, education and interactive movie amongst others, and controller compatibility like handle controllers, mouse, shuttle mouse, multitap, analog controllers, and more. The schedule itself is a long list of games ordered by release date, starting from April 25th and going up to December. Looking at April 25th, some of the games listed include Command & Conquer, Dragon Force, Virtua Fighter 2, Sonic Wings, Elevator Action Returns, Black/Matrix, Deep Fear, and Tokyo Shadow. Moving into May and beyond, there are titles like Civilization, Stake Swimmer 2, Groove on Fight, Blam, Machine Head, Dark Hunter, J-League Go Go Goal, Deep Fear, Grandia, Enemy Zero, Amok, Panzer Dragoon Saga, Sonic Jam, and many more. The list provides game titles, prices, the game makers, genres, and compatibility notes, offering a comprehensive overview of the software expected to launch in the coming months. It looks like a very busy release schedule with a wide variety of game types planned across the spring and summer months, and even into the later part of the year. This page continues the new software release schedule, showcasing upcoming games. It's broken down by release timeframe, starting with summer, then autumn, winter, and finally games slated for release sometime within 97. For the summer releases, there's a wide variety of titles. Action games like the sequel to Assault Suits, Lanos, Doom, Primal Rage, Return Fire, Tiger 2 Plus, and fighting games like Last Bronx, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel Superheroes, and Mega Man X4. Adventure and RPG titles also feature, including Panzer Dragoon RPG, and visual novels. Simulation and shooting games are present too, along with titles in other genres, like puzzle and table games. Moving to autumn releases, Fighting games, such as Guilty Gear and Layer Section 2 are listed. SEGA Touring Car Championship represents racing, and there are various adventure and simulation-style games, including Dead or Alive. Finally, for Winter 97, and games listed for release within 97, there's a mix of genres again, from RPGs like Guardian Force and Baroque, to action titles like Cotton 2 and Heroic's Adventures. There's also J.League Exciting Stage V1 for sports fans, and other adventure and simulation-style games rounding out the schedule. Overall, this page highlights a diverse range of upcoming games planned for release across the summer, autumn, and winter periods, promising a busy release schedule for SEGA Saturn owners, with titles spanning many genres. This page dives into the Secret Techniques Go corner, a reader submission section focused on SEGA Saturn tips and tricks. The main highlight is a strategy for cyberbots, called the Super Evil Warlock, touted as the ultimate tactic for the Warlock variant armor. To pull it off, you need to be level 4 or higher, and use pilots Devilot, Shade, or Chiyomaru while clearing the scenario. The page also lists essential special moves for cyberbots, like Sacred Stee, Ascension Black, Energy Rain, Forbidden Force, and 2 variations of imitation moves, plus Cyber X. There are also short explanations with screenshots for the Energy Drain move, which steals energy from the opponent, and Forbidden Force, a projectile attack usable both on the ground and in the air. Moving on, there's an article about the convenience store game, questioning if gold or money is the only way to purchase alcohol and tobacco licenses. It details the process of obtaining these licenses, costs involved, and benefits. Another section explores Uncharted Waters 2, revealing that special dark items are sold in shops only between 2 a.m. and 2:30 a.m. in-game time. Finally, there's a call for readers to submit their own secret techniques to the Secret Techniques Go corner, with prizes offered like SEGA Saturn software and bookstore gift certificates for the best submissions. There is a small ranking system for submissions with different grades of Go Girl and associated prizes. This page delves into the subtle relationship between games and art, posing the question, baseball body equals game? The article explores the connection between real-life baseball and video game representations of the sport. It starts by discussing ancient Greek sculptures depicting athletes, highlighting how they capture the physical beauty and form of the human body in motion. The piece argues that video games, especially sports games, can also be seen as a form of artistic expression. The article uses World Series Baseball as a prime example, pointing out how television games can convey the excitement and tension of a real baseball game, especially during close plays at home plate or tense pitching matchups. The author mentions an experience of watching a game on TV and feeling the same kind of excitement they would if they were actually at the ballpark. The writer emphasizes that while video games can capture the essence of baseball, they are not the same as the real thing. They are a different medium, offering a unique kind of enjoyment that focuses on gameplay elements and strategic decision-making. The article concludes that both real baseball and video game baseball can be enjoyed in their own ways, highlighting the distinctive appeal of each. The page also includes a small box with details about World Series Baseball, labeling it as Work 13 and mentioning its release date as November 17, 1995, and a price of 5,800 yen, with the publisher being Sega SPT. This page is an advertisement for the SEGA Saturn game, Sea Bass Fishing 2. It's presented as a serious sea fishing simulation game that aims to be even more realistic and fun than the first title. The advert emphasizes the game's 3D graphics and intuitive controls, claiming it provides a thrilling lure fishing experience. The game was released on the day of this magazine's publication and is priced at 5,800 yen. Screenshots showcase different in-game perspectives, including first-person views and underwater shots. The text details features like 24-hour fishing, meaning you can fish at any time of day, and the ability to use boats to move around fishing spots. It also mentions various fish types and the inclusion of popular fishing tackle and lures from Daiwa, a well-known brand in the fishing world. The game is presented in collaboration with fishing expert Masami Murakoshi, whose picture is also featured, suggesting his involvement in ensuring the game's realism and appeal to fishing enthusiasts. The Reader's Present page in SEGA Saturn Magazine announced winners from the April 18th issue giveaway. Prizes included SEGA Saturn software, a Bomberman AV selector, SEGA mousepads, and items for single winners such as a Capcom secret file set and Virtua Fighter 3 merchandise. The page also advertised new prizes, 20 readers could win SEGA Saturn software, 5 could win Street Fighter II eye posters, while 10 could win a Langrisser Holy Sword secret file Clidrom, 5 stake winner 2. Sassus and Ribs aprons and 5 Planet Leica posters were also up for grabs. The magazine also announced the release date of the next issue, 5/1623 on May 2nd, and provided contact information. This page is a big advert for the SEGA Saturn game theme park. It's promoting a new version of the amusement park simulation game, emphasizing that it's been greatly upgraded and is now in full 3D. The text highlights that you can build your own theme park and then freely wander around it in 3Ds, even ride all the attractions. It mentions the controls are easy to pick up and play, making it very addictive. The advert also states it's currently on sale for 5,800 yen, excluding tax. The image features a woman and man playing the game with a SEGA Saturn controller, alongside screenshots of the 3D park environment. The overall tone is very energetic and excited about the new 3D theme park experience on the SEGA Saturn. This page continues the excitement for the SEGA Saturn version of theme park, highlighting what makes this new theme park so addictive. It emphasizes the freedom to wander through the theme park you've built yourself, now in full 3Ds. The attractions are said to be twice the size of the previous games, and even change depending on which country you set your park in, adding a cool layer of depth. They also mention understanding customer psychology. From retirees to families, you'll need to master the techniques to keep everyone happy. The day-night cycle is a big feature too, with night parades that will thrill your virtual guests. The image shows someone completely engrossed playing with a Saturn controller, clearly demonstrating how immersive and fun this new theme park experience is supposed to be. It's all about building, exploring, and mastering the art of theme park management in 3D. This page is all about the awesome Satakole, or Saturn Collection. It's advertising a new release of this collection, and it's packed with classic games at a budget price of just 2,800 yen. The headline shouts about the counterattack of masterpieces, which is pretty cool, hinting at a comeback of legendary titles. They're showcasing a selection of genres included in this collection. For fighting games, they've got Virtua Fighter 2, a true Saturn classic. For RPG fans, it's Dragon Force, an epic strategy RPG. Puzzle lovers get Baku Baku Animal, the super addictive animal matching puzzle game. For board game enthusiasts, there's DX Jinsei Game, which is like a deluxe version of the Game of Life. And for shooting action, they're featuring Layer Section, known internationally as Rayforce, a fantastic vertical shooter. It looks like the Satakali is aiming to bring back some of the best SEGA Saturn games at an affordable price, making them accessible to everyone. It's a great way to dive into or rediscover these classics.